It is 10:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. In the aftermath of the divorce between Tennessee and quarterback Nico Iamaleava, On3 Sports reported yesterday that North Carolina also is out of the bidding for Iamaleava's services next season. Tulane and UCLA have been mentioned as potential landing spots for the former five-star. The spring transfer portal officially opens on Wednesday. In NFL news, the Miami Dolphins and cornerback Jalen Ramsey are mutually set to explore trade options for the 2025 season, according to Ian Rappaport. Ramsey will turn 31 in October. He is set to make over $25 million in guaranteed money next season. And the Nashville Predators fell at home to Utah Hockey Club Monday, 7-3. Only one game left in the season. Tomorrow at home against Dallas. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Well, the North Carolina Nico Iamaleava flirtation did not last very long, did it? Welcome in on this Tuesday. We're happy to have you, Bert, Lucas, and me, until 1 o'clock. We're really just killing time for the next 3 hours until we can all collectively go to the zoo and interview animals, which we're very excited about. But we will do our best to try and maintain our interest so that you can be interested in what we're talking about today. Are you excited, Bert? You've got a whole list of animals that the Nashville Zoo has provided us that you are going to get the exclusive interview with this afternoon.
I'm super excited. More excited, though, to see you around the hissing cockroaches, the reptiles, the arachnids, the entire insect house is at our disposal.
I'm not going in there.
You are going in there.
No.
You're going to go in there? You're going to they
I have to push Lucas around in a wheelchair.
That's what my job is. I signed up as being his handicap accessible door opener. That's what I'm in there for. So I would love to see you holding, say, a giant tarantula in your hands. I would like to see you holding a hissing cockroach. All of the ilk, anything like that. I would like to see you knocked off your axis of comfortability.
You're not getting any of that today. The closest to one of these animals that I'm going to get is the delightful little Highland cow, Hamish. That's about as far as we're going to go. And even then, if it slobbers on me, I'm probably going to leave.
You're not going to talk to Tom or Lamar?
Are those the goats?
Those are you saw right through me.
Just sneaking Lamar in there, aren't you?
Saw right through me.
Well, as soon as he said Lamar, Tom, I wouldn't have gotten Lamar.
Just trying to be
Lamar
real
gave
sly.
it away. Lamar gave it away, yeah. So, back to the news of the day. Nico, North Carolina.
Speaking of goats.
No mas. Yeah, well.
In terms of the Tar Heels.
I was just going to say.
And Bill Belichick. Few goats involved. Nico, not one of them.
Oh, so you're taking a victory lap because Nico will not go to North Carolina, are you?
I don't want to say I'm taking a victory lap.
You absolutely just did.
But it's hard. It's hard not to kind of kick back and cross your arms and say, yeah, okay.
Okay, why don't you get somebody to play quarterback for you before you start, kicking back and enjoying the spoils of your victory?
Oh, it's got nothing to do with who's going to play quarterback. Again, Tennessee.
It very much does.
No, it doesn't. Tennessee is not a winner in this. There are no winners in this. But the fact that North Carolina is saying, yeah, we'd rather have the South Alabama guy than the guy who ditched his teammates the day before the spring game, wanting double the money he was making.
Yeah.
I think you probably, and we all overestimated Bill Belichick saying, yep, nope, get him over here. I want that mercenary quarterback. But even Bill Belichick is saying, I don't want any part of that. And it seems like most schools across the country are saying, I don't want any part of that with the way that it was all handled by Nico's camp.
So Pete Nakos of On3 Sports is the person that reported. Again, he's been on the forefront of this, and he was the one with the report yesterday that said Bill Belichick's North Carolina Tar Heels are out of any Iamaleava pursuit.
That B word.
Huh?
That little B word.
That little B word, Pete Nakos, according to Nico Iamaleava.
That should be in his Twitter bio.
I just wish.
Yeah, he should.
The only thing that would have made Lucas's exasperation or shock and awe that a father of a player would call a reporter the B word on Twitter is if he would have grabbed himself and held himself there as he said, the B word.
He should. His Pete Nakos, who is one of the best in the business in terms of portal reporting. In his bio, it says college sports business and transfer portal reporter. Replace reporter with B word. That'd be a good way to lean into it.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to get involved today. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is how we get through on the live stream if you want to interact with us there as well.
The B word on.
So is there going to be a Nico watch now? Because somebody's going to take him.
Oh, sure. Yeah, he's going to land somewhere.
It's just how much further from his desired monetary goal does he fall below $4 million? Because nobody expects him to get $4 million.
I'm starting to wonder if he's going to make what he was even making at Tennessee.
Well, we have a bit to that effect later on in the show, or so I'm told. If Robert has devised a hypothetical situation if Nico were to come crawling back to the University of Tennessee, if the doors were even open for something like that. But fair to assume that once the move is made to part ways with the starting quarterback over a financial dispute, that you're probably not heading back in that direction. But that's not going to stop us from playing out that hypothetical later in the show, right?
I will argue that, but I would also like to nominate a new name. Instead of Nico Watch, can we call it a Pico at Nico? Let's take a Pico at Nico, see where he's headed.
I don't like that.
A little Sneeko Pico?
We're workshop it a little bit.
Okay, I'll work on it.
You've got until what, 11:45 before we do this thing? 12:20 actually before we do this thing. Apparently. Landon Fowler on YouTube says, Vols talk with a yawning emoji. Listen, I am so grateful that we have this story because I don't know what to do with you with 2 weeks to go, I guess 10 days to go before the NFL draft beyond telling you, yeah, Cam Ward's your number one overall pick, and what? What am I supposed to do for 3 hours? You should be thanking your lucky stars that the Vols story dropped out of the sky the way that it did, because otherwise you were just going to have to sit there through two weeks of mock draft radio, which would make me want to take a drill bit to my temple. So we'll get there when we get there, and you just be I'm not going to say that you should be grateful for this story, because I'm sure Vols fans are not grateful for this story. But in terms of intrigue, this is a hell of a lot more interesting than another mock draft with Cam Ward going number one overall after Jimmy Wyatt put out his latest mock draft roundup and 35 people had Cam Ward going to the Titans. That's a yawn.
So Pete Nakos yesterday, we talked about it on the show, reported UCLA, UNC, and Tulane as some of the bidders for Nico. By the way, it's worth noting the fact that Tulane was even in there, I think tells you that the market for Nico is not even close to what his family thought it was when they came to Tennessee, that a G5 program is in there, a good G5 program, albeit. Garland Gillen, a TV reporter out of New Orleans.
You sure it's a real person?
I am positive it's a real person, is reporting that chances of Nico Iamaleava landing at Tulane are 0. So theoretically, that would leave UCLA. So let's say it's Nico and UCLA sitting at a table.
Is that the coach that had the
and struggled at Big Ten Media Days?
What was the screw up that he had exactly? Like,
it was just
something to do with like where Los Angeles was on a map or something like that. I can't remember.
The whole way he approached it was just odd. He just didn't seem comfortable up there. Had this awkward laugh. Deshaun Foster, former UCLA football player. So what if it is just Nico's family sitting across from UCLA, and UCLA's looking around like, man, nobody else is here, so. Here's a nickel. Like what do you?
They just slide like a $5 bill across the table and be like, "Here you go, bud. What do you think about that?
Yeah, go get yourself something out of the vending machine. We'll give you a scholarship.
Don't spend it all in one place."
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing. Name a more.
Listen, before we flesh this out any further, and I apologize for cutting you off there, but like I feel bad for him. I feel bad for him. I do not feel bad for his father. I hate that he is the one caught up in this situation. He's got a younger brother too, so fair to expect that this is going to impact them specifically. very poorly in their lives and what their trajectory could have been had the family not gotten in the way and made a mess of things. And I don't care that he's 20 years old and people are tweeting that, oh, he's a grown-ass man or something like that. No, you're not. Not at 20 years old. Most of you still don't have the financial wherewithal that you would like to have, no matter what stage of life that you're in. So please don't tweet me or tweet other people talking about, well, he should have known. He's a grown-up. He should have known that this was the direction that it was going to head in. It sounds like he didn't have very much say in the entire situation whatsoever.
I'd love to know, honestly, how he feels about the whole situation. I really would, especially if he's going to land somewhere like UCLA for scraps with no bidding happening around him, and he's in a worse situation with a worse program, making less money and less continuity, which would inevitably hurt his draft stock down the road. So, yeah, this is a tough situation. Name a more overplayed hand that you can remember than what Nico's camp has done.
Contract negotiation-wise? Lev Bell.
Yeah.
Lev Bell was a mess. I mean, that entire situation with the Steelers, and then he ended up taking less money from the Jets, Adam Gase's Jets, I remember. Who else had a negotiation?
Maybe Hassan Reddick, with the amount of money he racked up in fines.
That would be a definite recency bias thing. Vic Beasley also overplayed his hand here when he decided to just cost himself $100,000 because he was 10 days late to training camp.
I mean, he still came out pretty net positive on that, what was it, $8 million contract?
Yeah. No, it was more than that. They basically lit $22 million on fire between Jadeveon Clowney and Vic Beasley that year. Tough scene.
Yeah.
So, what happens to Nico and his camp that are now the pariahs of college football remains to be seen. We will find out together for sure, and we will probably do some level of Nico watch or whatever Bert wants to call it at this point in time on a daily basis until such time as he lands with a college football program, and I would fully expect that he would at some point, though that would be an even more interesting hypothetical to see that play out where, I mean, it's kind of like, to a different extent, collusion in the NFL. Are college football programs colluding to keep Nico Iamaleava out of college football? These are the kind of things that a CBA would also protect against.
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I think that's a bit of a reach. I think people look at that and say, I don't want any part of that. Josh Pate, we didn't even mention this yesterday. He reported that he heard Nico's camp threatened to pull him from the playoff game if Tennessee didn't give him more money.
And also added that he wasn't the only one.
Yes.
Not at Tennessee.
Dozens across the country that were making that were messaging that type of thing. So who's to say, like, if you're Dan Lanning or Lincoln Riley or Bill Belichick, whoever, it's like, let's say we bring you in here on your $3.5 million, whatever. How do I know week one of the season on Wednesday, I'm not going to get a call from you saying he's not playing week one unless you give him an extra $500K? Like, how do I know you're not going to do that? Nothing's protecting against you doing that. So they kind of just overplayed their hand with this situation and overestimated their market, and it seems like they're going to pay for it. And I'd be surprised at this point if Nico's making as much or more as he was making at Tennessee.
Let's go to the phones, 615-737-1045. I'm sure this is a polarizing topic for many of you. Let's start this morning with Brandon in Macon County.
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Good.
Joe earlier, and I told him about a post I made, and I about got condemned to hell for it. But so 2 days ago, I posted on my Instagram and Facebook and everything, the picture of Heupel talking about he's not better than the team.
Not bigger than the team, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find it real quick, but I think that, I said, and this is where the NIL has destroyed college football, but that's okay because Heupel is him. And hopefully Nico doesn't go somewhere and destroys his career. And, I heard about the rumors and stuff about, they were talking about pulling Nico before the Ohio State game and stuff like that. And it's just a coincidence that they just laid an egg in that game. I'm sorry. I don't care. Nico busted his helmet, whatever. But they were trash in that game.
That's 60 seconds on the clock, Brandon. apparently he called 10 minutes ago on Kalen Wilter. Yeah, you got to get to the point faster, bud. I don't really know where we're going with that. Well,
Got to land the plane.
yeah, man. What? He didn't even know what his post said. He just called 10 minutes ago about it. What are we doing out here, bud? It's all right. You'll watch the tape. You'll improve. And you can call us back again when you're more prepared after you were sitting on hold and then didn't even know what your own post said. Should I try Jess? Jess, you going to ramble on me? Jess in Hendersonville is next.
No, sir. I'm going to land the plane right off the bat. This is pre-NIL, and I understand it's not apples to apples, but Jalen Hurd, that really, really hurt my spirit to see how that whole thing went down. And I don't know all the behind the scenes, but here's a guy that was getting ready to break the UT record for rushing yards, had his pro career laid out for him, and then somehow somebody in his family talks him into moving to receiver and blows up his whole career.
Yeah, I mean, that's the worst case scenario for him, right, Jess? Thank you for the call. See, that's how you do it. Look at Jess in Hendersonville. Well done, Jess.
I do think that there's a common trend. It's hard to find examples of guys that leave their team, whether it's midseason or right at the end of spring practice, and leave teammates high and dry and end up benefiting over it. You know what I mean? Like, holdouts happen, but there's a time and place. Beginning of training camp. Maybe if Nico's camp was that upset about the way the contract negotiation was going, deal with it at the beginning of spring practice, in the first week of spring ball. Not everything's fine. He's going through spring practice, and then the last day, you have this emotional reaction because Pete Nako's put out that report and say, no, you know what? You're not going to spring practice. And you overplay your hand.
Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel is going to join us. Boots on the ground reporting, and more of your phone calls next.
You know what my happy place is? My happy place is sitting outside in the sunshine with TVs surrounding me, watching all of the games going on that day with some buddies and a cold one. My happy place is Fog Street Lawn Club. It's the coolest new spot in Nashville. It's also Nashville's premier soccer pub, your go-to place to watch Nashville SC in action. It's also open early on weekends for Premier League games. Go watch the sunrise and have some brunch on that picture-perfect rooftop, the best view of downtown Nashville you can find. Trust me on that one. Play British-style lawn bowling or cornhole on the rooftop, or head next door. Challenge your friends to some axe throwing at Bad Axe. You'll never get bored at Fog Street. Gives you the experience of downtown Music City with the good escape from the hustle and bustle. It's family friendly, and they can host special events, plus an excellent menu of British pub-style food and a large drink selection. Come see them out. Come check them out at Fog Street Lawn Club, located on Fog Street.
Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel joins us now. And, of course, we're going to talk about everything University of Tennessee. There was a spring game, even though that's not what the headlines are. And we have a quarterback conundrum that they are currently experiencing. But I want to start in a different kind of a place with our good buddy Adam. How are you? Are you well? I feel like I want to make sure that you're doing okay from a mental health standpoint, because as a beat reporter, you know what the job is, and you know when the job calls, you have to answer no matter what your off-day schedule might have looked like. So I just want to check in on you first, bud, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'm alive. It's been a hectic week. The good thing is I was prepared. I wrote a Nico headed to the transfer portal story 5 months ago, I think. So so I finally got to use it. Had to polish it off a little bit, but I finally got to use it. You hate when those stories you write them and they never see the light of day. So I guess on sort of a negative thing, but this one did actually get published, just under different circumstances. All
right, so that would, of course, lend itself to the idea that this was a story in the making for a considerably longer period of time than when the first rumblings of this latest situation started to bubble up publicly on Thursday. So can you, for the audience as best you can, Adam, kind of take us through the timeline of when you decided you were going to put that story together based on what you were hearing and how we ultimately got to Saturday, where Josh Heupel is saying no one is bigger than the program and ultimately decides to part ways with the quarterback that helped them get to the college football playoff last year?
Yeah, for one, I don't know that I believe the part that's been rolling around about Nico holding out of the playoff. I don't think that happened. I think there were negotiations in December. I don't think there was a holdout in the playoff, but in December, I think Team Nico, so to speak, they went around shopping to see if they could get better offers from other schools. They did that in December. I think the purpose was to use that as leverage to come back to Tennessee and to say, hey, we've got a better offer at school X, so you're going to have to match that. And it turned out those supposed offers weren't what they were saying they were. So Tennessee didn't give them more money. And then they tried to do that again in the early spring or late winter, tried to shop him around to some more schools again. Tactic didn't work. Tennessee didn't budge. And, we deal with this in every industry. You guys deal it in yours and mine also. If you go into your boss's office and say that another company, a competitor, has made an offer to you and it's much more than you're making, that better be true, because your boss could check in on that and find out that's not true. And if not, you've lost your bargaining power and you may lose your job. And I guess both of those essentially ended up happening with me.
Well, that's the thing that makes this so interesting to me, Adam. Because I made an assumption based on him trying to or somebody in his camp trying to leverage his situation, that he did have a legit offer to the effect that he would be able to get a financial increase if he took his talents elsewhere. And so to find out that was not the case, I mean, how big a problem is the camp around Nico? I don't want to make it just about the dad, even though the dad is the most public one, because he's out there on Twitter calling Pete Nakos, as Lucas so diplomatically put it, the B word.
I think you might be frozen on Zoom there.
Oh, no. Okay.
So we'll try to get back Adam Sparks.
We will work to get Adam Sparks back here in just a second. But that's the thing that makes me, that I guess I shouldn't have taken for granted, Lucas. I assumed that he was hearing that he was going to get more money from someone else.
Yeah, and we kind of assumed that. Just the market is the market, right? What we took for granted is a coach or a program's willingness to say, no, that's not worth bringing into this program, somebody that would be willing to leave their teammates on the last day of spring ball.
So, Adam, I apologize for us getting cut off, but my question to you was, all right, so I assumed that he was hearing that he was going to get more money from somewhere else, which is why he took this opportunity, or his camp around him took this opportunity to leverage. How big a problem is the camp around Nico for this particular situation?
I mean, it's a big problem. I don't think the offers they were telling Tennessee that he was getting, I don't think were true. I think those amounts were inflated. I don't know where I got cut off, but what I was saying is if you walk into your boss's office and say that a competitor is offering you something, that number better be true because you can check on it pretty easy. And if it's not, then you've lost your bargaining power. Nico was never a problem. He's never been a problem with media. The collective at Tennessee has dealt with few players that were as easy to deal with as Nico. The problem was the dad. The problem was Cordell Landers, who was an advisor, 7-on-7 coach. A lot of these high-end recruits, football and basketball, have a handler, and Landers was his handler. But the dad was an issue. Landers was an issue. And that was the whole problem. I mean, Nico has been as carefree as I think I've ever seen him at Tennessee in the past 2 months before this happened. And that's because his dad had not been on campus during spring practice. I think that was a major factor. The farther he got away from that circle, I'm not saying the whole family, but the dad and Landers and his advisors, the farther he got away, I think the more growing up he did and a little more independence, autonomy that he enjoyed. And when his dad came back into the picture, all this stuff blew up.
That's the thing that bothers me the most about just the idea of a story like this, right, Adam, is that the player is going to be villainized when in reality he seems to have such a small part in what actually went down here based on the handlers around him. Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel here with us on 104.5 The Zone.
And Adam, it feels like there's a thread here when you look down at Nico's brother, Madden, right? A 4-star recruit that transferred for his final year of high school football, ended up being ineligible in his last year of high school football, flips from UCLA to Arkansas at the very last moment, despite never having visited Arkansas. So does it seem like that picture is becoming more and more clear in terms of everything happening around Nico and how it could trickle down even to his brother?
Yeah, but it does show you that there's not a whole lot of loyalty overall with a lot of this stuff, because I think the front runner for Nico right now is UCLA. Yeah. And that's the school that the bridge you think would be burned with the Iamaleava family. But it's not. And I think that, that coaching staff needs a win, and getting Nico would be that, if they can afford him. Taxes are a little different in California. They should know that. Yeah, I mean, that's the source of it. Here's the thing. In my dealings with Nico, my fear is one day he's going to look back and say, man, I had everything in place. I was maybe 6 months from finishing my college career as a rich young man and headed to the NFL as a high-round draft pick. I don't know about a first round, but a high-round draft pick, and my pocket's full. And instead, he's sort of flailing out there right now looking for what's probably going to be the same or less money in a worse situation, because he's going to have to learn a new playbook and teammates and all that sort of stuff. And he's probably going into a worse situation than he had here. And what he had at Tennessee was a pretty good situation. And it was almost over. If he was going into the draft, he would only be here for 6 more months.
It's hard to sit here and predict which quarterbacks will hit the portal. I have not seen any big names that are announcing, or it's being reported that they're going to hit the portal on Wednesday, whether it's names like Avery Johnson or Haynes King that have been on the hot board, largely created by Tennessee fans. To you, we talked about this yesterday. What's more likely, Merklinger/McIntyre competing for the starting job, or a transfer quarterback being handed the starting job?
Well, it depends on who you bring in. Those names, the Avery Johnson, Sam Levitt, all that, I think that's pie in the sky. I don't think that's happening. I think more of the caliber guys that Tennessee are looking at is the sort of the Merklinger level talent, but with starting experience. What you would think Jake Merklinger may be in a couple of years. A veteran who can start and win games. but a guy who's already started. It gets dicey though, because here's the thing: you've got to make a decision with Merklinger. Because if you bring in, there's a certain caliber guy that you can bring in. Let's say they don't bring in Avery Johnson, Sam Levitt, that level. Again, I don't think they are. I don't think they can get that guy into the portal. If you can't get that guy, then whoever you bring in is going to be a second-tier guy who's can probably win games for you, but also that's a guy who could chase off Jake Merklinger. And so you kind of have to do that calculus of if you get a guy that chases off Merklinger, can you live with that? And if so, then you may have to get two quarterbacks, and then George McIntyre may be your backup. So there's a lot of moving pieces. Tennessee's doing exit interviews. They did them yesterday, today, and they have to figure out which guy they bring in, how that'll affect their current roster. And, you're also doing a lot of math of how much does the guy you bring in cost, and does that give you more money to go put pieces around him? Or if you keep Jake Merklinger, do you have to give him a sizable raise to keep him? And if you're doing that, maybe you don't have enough money to go get other pieces. So there's a lot that goes into this.
Well, and it was already a complicated question, Adam. What are baseline expectations for Tennessee in 2025? That felt like a complicated question with Nico at quarterback. Now it's even more so based on what you saw throughout the course of spring practice and the spring game Saturday, emerging young players that flashed a little bit, it sounds like Saturday, especially at the wide receiver, tight end spot. What do you make of the overall state of this roster right now? And where do you even begin when trying to judge a baseline expectation when having no clue who the starting quarterback's going to be?
I thought with Nico, they were going to be 8-4 to 10-2, probably about a 9-win team. If Merklinger's the starter, I would say that's probably a 7-win team. Could be an 8-win team, depending on the other pieces they put around him. So you're kind of looking at like the level guy that you bring in. I think they need to try to, if they're going to get a quarterback that can start over Jake Merklinger, you need to get a guy that can win the games you're supposed to win, and then have a chance to compete against Georgia, Alabama, Florida, those big three. And if you can do that, then you can be at least in the mix of where you can with Nico. But with Merklinger, I don't know. I mean, this all comes down to, a lot of people think it's like the NIL collective that decides this. It starts with Tennessee's coaching staff and them deciding, do we think Jake Merklinger can be the starter and win 9 games, 8-9 games? Or are we too unsure? And if you're unsure, then you got to go get somebody else and roll the dice that you may lose Jake Merklinger. But if you bring in a good enough guy, you still have George McIntyre, you have Faison Brandon coming after him. And so, I think the roster right now is an 8-win roster. A good quarterback could make you a 9-win roster. A bad decision could cost you a couple of key players into the portal, and suddenly you're down to a 6-7-win team.
He's Adam Sparks. At Adam Sparks is where you follow him. KnoxNews.com is where you go. Adam, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, bud, and keep up the great work. It's been, I know it's been exhausting, but we do appreciate the coverage.
All right, guys. Good to be on.
That's our buddy Adam Sparks of the Knoxville News Sentinel, the best in the business, covering this University of Tennessee situation. I mean, that is bleak for this upcoming football season, given the high that everybody was riding. Understandably so, right? I mean, and it makes sense what he's saying. But I can't envision a world in which this is the kind of thing that I was talking about yesterday. Like, what is going to test Vol fan resolve about rallying against the idea of, all right, put your foot down, puff out your chest, nobody's bigger than the program, all these different things. And it still might have been the right decision, but how much less popular is that decision going to be if you're a 7-win football team coming off a college football playoff appearance?
Look, it's hard to imagine a scenario when the 2025 season rolls around where Tennessee fans are rewriting what's happened in the last week and flipping it around to where Heupel's the villain and Nico's the guy we should have given everything to. In the end, if Tennessee goes 7-5 with Jake Merklinger in 2025, like, Heupel is going to have that cushion with the fan base of, well, yeah, what do you want to do? Your 5-star quarterback screwed you over at the end of spring practice. None of the opinions at the end of next season are going to be, you should have given Nico the $4 million. And I feel more confident in saying that now as his options continue to dwindle. If Nico goes to UCLA, let's say, that's not a program in a good place right now. And it's hard enough to get somewhere at the end of spring practice and go through the install and get assimilated with your teammates and have success with UCLA now in the Big Ten and traveling to Ohio State and to Michigan and to Iowa and all these places they weren't going before. So it's getting harder and harder to picture Nico in a better spot and playing better this coming year than he did last year. So to me, it's hard to imagine fans flipping on Heupel with this thing. It's just, it is what it is. You got screwed over by your 5-star. You did what you could, and you reset, moving on to 2026. But we'll see what they can do in the short term.
615-737-1045 is the number. Do I have things to give away?
You do. You can get 2 tickets to go see Stained and Breaking Benjamin at Bridgestone Arena on April 27th.
Okay, 615-737-1045 is the number. It should be a layup today. What in sports made you say, oh no, for the opportunity to win those tickets? Just call us, give us your submission, and you may win those Stained and Breaking Benjamin tickets next. For the opportunity to win 2 tickets to Stained and Breaking Benjamin at Bridgestone Arena, you got to call us and you got to tell us 615-737-1045. What in sports made you say, oh, no? Now, let me say this on the front end. I'm sure a lot of you are going to say Nico. But the first person to say Nico, that's it. All right? We started the show off hot with one of the worst calls I think the show has ever had, with that person just wandering around trying to find his own social media post to read it to us after he read it to the morning show. So I'm not going to have high expectations, but I need you guys to bring it a little stronger than that, all right? 615-737-1045. What in sports made you say, oh, no? Bert, you want to start?
I will start. I'll start the bidding with, are you guys familiar with Katy Perry and her space exploration trip? Her and a full female astronaut load ensemble. There you go. They were loaded into Jeff Bezos's, I believe it was called Blue Exploration. I can't remember what the hell the spaceship was called. But it was such a big deal that people were worried that this mission would be too dangerous and lives could be lost before they took off. But now, after I've done some digging, I realized that there was very little cause for concern because they did not even go to space. They did not go to space. Apparently, it is the layer of Earth between Earth's atmosphere and space. It's where you have a little bit of gravity loss, a little bit of floating, but they ain't in real space. You ain't in the final frontier. But it was. I was reading this MSNBC article to kind of explain to me what the deal was. So I'll take this excerpt from that. For this cunning act of marketing for Blue Origin, that's what it was, Blue Origin Space Tourism, the company declared that these women were trailblazers and history makers for being the first all-female flight crew. I think they just sat there. I don't think they had any duties. You know what I mean? Gail King's not up there like, more turbo booster, please. Like, she's not giving any instructions.
Turbo booster being a thing in a rocket ship is hilarious.
Yeah.
Houston, you have a problem.
On the same webpage, the company includes information about how you too can go flying on a future New Shepard mission and, quote, purchase commemorative merchandise. Interested space tourists can put down $150,000 as a deposit. The company did not share the information about what the ticket would cost, although it did auction the seat on the first flight for $28 million. I'm upset about this because it's saying it is women's progression and liberation, when in fact it is consumerism. It is Jeff Bezos trying to sell more seats on this dadgum rocket. Stop confusing what women are doing that is actually pushing forward science and technology with whatever the hell Katy Perry decided to do. This is almost as bad as when all the famous people got together in COVID and sang "We Are the World." It's like, oh, yep, we're headlining space exploration.
Yeah, not the good version of We Are the World, the worst version of We Are the World.
Katy Perry's up there like, you're so tantalizing. Could you be an angel? Could you be a devil? That's my dumbest thing in sports. Katy Perry going to space.
She was kissing the ground after she got off the...
Yeah, shut up.
I saw that. That's the thing, yeah. I did not have Bert, the show misogynist, being the one caping up for women's rights.
You
today.
stop that.
Stop that. I've been trying to get you to stop that for 3 years.
You stop that.
615-737-1045. What in sports made you say, oh no? Bert always goes sports adjacent. I will go directly to sports, and I will go with the Vice President of the United States, Mr. J.D. Vance. The Ohio State University football team, the national championship trophy celebration was yesterday at the White House. Donald Trump hosted the Buckeyes after they won the college football playoff national championship, going through the likes of Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava to do exactly that and dismantling Notre Dame in the final game. J.D. Vance tried to pick up the football-shaped trophy off the table at the event. It's 24-karat gold, bronze, and stainless steel, and it nearly toppled over behind him before 2 players caught it. The base dropped to the ground. Gasps from the crowd emerged. J.D. Vance, looking as unathletic in front of a huge dais of athletes as one could possibly look, beyond all the other things about J.D. Vance that make you say, oh no. That was the sports oh no for J.D. Vance.
In front of his beloved Ohio State Buckeyes, too. He is a very outspoken Ohio State fan.
Is he from Kentucky?
I thought he was from Ohio.
I read the book that he wrote, Hillbilly Elegy, 100 years ago before he decided he was going to be a politician. I'm pretty sure he's from Kentucky.
No, he's from Ohio. Okay, according to Wikipedia.
Well, he wrote it about his family in Kentucky.
Nico Harrison made me say, oh no, today, because I saw this headline from WFAA in Dallas that Dallas Mavericks GM Nico Harrison is addressing the media for only the second time since the Luka trade today. Oh, good. No cameras or recording devices are allowed.
Oh, my
no.
God.
So the Dallas Mavericks issued an invite to a hand-selected group of media members on Monday, offering them a chance to attend a small media roundtable discussion with embattled Mavs GM Nico Harrison, along with their CEO, Rick Welch. So the invite was sent out with less than 24 hours notice. It was not sent out to publications or organizations, but to a very specific amount of individuals. And it's just a small gathering, no phones, no recording, no writing, just a chit-chat with Nico Harrison.
You know the last time I was a part of one of those?
With Chad Brinker.
No. Well, actually, that was the last time I was a part of one of those. But
Chad Brinker did speak with cameras and mics like an hour after that with Mike Borgonzi.
No, the last time that I was a part of one of those was the day after J-Rob traded A.J. Brown.
Ooh.
There was not a news invite sent out. It was just a text to a couple of
Here's
us
what happened.
Beat reporters. I think it was like me, Tehran, Teresa, PK, Glennon, and maybe one or two others that Rex Road, when he was still doing Titan stuff at the time, it was like, hey, we're going to sit in this room. We're going to talk this through. No tweets, no texts, no nothing. Okay, John.
Ooh, Carrie on the FNM Bank chat asks, what's the bigger Nico story this year? Nico Harrison or Nico Iamaleava?
Nico Harrison.
Not been a good year for the Nikos.
No, not ideal. 615-737-1045 is the number.
If your name's Nico, head on a swivel.
Yeah, truly. Just watch out for that dad. Let's go to, who do we want to start with? Bert, what was the best one that you got? Because I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm very nervous. I'm very hesitant about calls because the callers have kind of sucked lately, and I need them to do better.
Let's start with Charlie and Franklin. Go back to front here.
Okay, we always love Charlie and Franklin. What do you got, Charlie?
Roy McIlroy double bogey and one in the Masters.
Oh.
You know, I mean, and 4.5 hours later, I'm crying. But that's how much I loved him. But could you believe that he double bogeyed number one, and within 30 minutes he's one shot back?
Yeah.
But that's my oh no.
It was a crazy one. Charlie, it's a great submission. I did not have you as a Stained and Breaking Benjamin fan, but if you win the tickets, that is
nice.
I will need you to send us pictures from the concert.
Charlie's going to be rocking out front row, baby.
Hell yeah. That's a great one because that is how Rory's Masters Sunday started, and I literally dropped my head into my hands and said, oh no. See, Charlie always delivers.
Understands the assignment.
Be like Charlie. How about John and Franklin?
Okay, guys. Good morning. We've become a little bit softer in sports. I'm from the age, when I was practicing, it was really hot, throw you a salt pill, that kind of thing, But we have water breaks now. I'm all for that. But supposedly the Nuggets and the Kroenke family, if I'm saying that correctly, they fired the coach because the players weren't playing with joy. Now, shouldn't joy be a given? And I'm suspicious if that's even the reason they fired him. But all these firings, especially late in the season, just crazy.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, John. It's a good submission. Thank you for the call. So it's the Nuggets coach that they're talking about?
Malone, yeah.
It's kind of tough that he would get fired for playing with joy. Didn't people at Fox Sports get in trouble for playing with?
Oh, no.
No.
I'm just asking.
No. Shadows.
I thought it was Joy Taylor.
No.
Oh, that should win the tickets.
Damn it. Thank you for the call, John. It is a good point, though. Like, player empowerment, I am for, right? But as in everything in life, there are extremes. And if you are firing a championship caliber coach, and I know he has Jokic, right? It would be tough to not win a championship with Jokic.
Well,
he's one of the most fantastic basketball players I've ever seen. I don't believe that person, by the way, has joy. So the idea, he's just a loaf of bread out there.
Doug Falling says, to be fair, Nikola Jokic openly hates basketball.
He just wants to go home and play with his horses, famously. So I don't know what joy Mike Malone was depriving them of. I think he's just kind of a miserable person that does this because he can make a ton of money. I don't think Jokic cares about any of this at all. whatsoever. Shame on you, Bert. Really. I don't know how I'm supposed to recover from that.
Man, when's the
Emmanuel
last...
Acho is my own.
No.
It's been a while since we've heard about that headline.
I don't think we ever covered that.
It's been a while.
Only way you're going to hear about those headlines is if Joy had corduroy pillows.
It's going to be great now that I'm doing Fox Sports Radio nationally on the weekends. The next time we get a guest. Oh, it's Joy Taylor. Hi, Joy. Lovely to talk to you. Let's go to Jim in Murfreesboro next.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. If I had a vote, Buck, you already won. J.D. Vance is a klutz. And Rory's whole round could be an oh-no, except that he won. So instead of number 1 or number 18, I chose number 16. Everything was going his way. And then he plunks it right in the water with a wedge and took another double bogey. I know 18 was big, missing that par putt, but I'm going with number 16 as my oh-no.
It's really so many things from that round of golf, which made it a hell of a Masters Sunday. Not for Rory, I'm sure. Well, I mean, ultimately for Rory, yes, but the anxiety he must have felt. All right. Should we take one more submission?
One more.
One more. How about Jeff in Cookville?
What's going on, Buck? What's going on, guys?
Yo.
Let's go back to college football and talk about Nico. No, I'm just kidding. No, I do want to go back to college football, and let's go and talk about the news today that I guess Deion had a hand in it, but he's going to retire Shador and Travis Hunter's jerseys in Colorado. I mean, what's that about? They barely had a 500 season. You did have a Heisman out of that, but in reality, I mean, neither one of those guys need to be retired until, at least they show some proof in NFL. But you got, people like Cordell Stewart that's, he's a legend in Colorado with his jersey not even retired. I'm a big fan of Prime Time, but come on, Prime. That's a lot. We rather retire those glasses you're wearing instead. That's my own.
I don't know. He's turned them into a trend. Thanks for the call, Jeff.
I feel like Jeff should get the tickets just for teasing our next segment beautifully.
It is what we are going to talk about coming up next, but I am going to go with Jim on the tickets there. Rory McIlroy was just an unbelievably stressful watch. Cringy almost is how I believe Ryan from Fun Recovery described it yesterday. So congratulations to Jim again. I don't know that any of you sounded like Breaking Benjamin or Stained fans, but I hope you enjoy the concert. And Bert will be in touch shortly. All right, let's talk about Deion retiring those 2 jerseys. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Trajan Wealth is here to help you like they've helped so many other people work through any level of financial insecurity that you may be dealing with at any point in time, because you've definitely lost sleep at some point in your life thinking about your finances. And certainly here in the last couple of weeks with everything that's going on economically, you've probably been thinking about your investment strategy and whether you are in good hands. Trajan Wealth is here to help you through that process and give you a plan that will give you that peace of mind that you are so desperately seeking regarding your financial situation. Because occurrences like inflation, election cycles, new laws, and interest rates can affect the financial markets in the short term, but it doesn't make sense to keep changing the way that you invest in response to the daily news. Instead, Trajan Wealth will help you review your strategy and make sure that it's right for your goals, your level of risk tolerance, and your time horizon. Trajan Wealth will help you decide what to do. That's what we're all looking for regarding our finances. Just a little bit of a guiding hand, and Trajan Wealth is there to provide you that service. So call them today at 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement.
It is 11:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The spring transfer portal officially opens tomorrow in the aftermath of the divorce between Tennessee and quarterback Nico Iamaleava. On3 Sports reported yesterday that North Carolina is out of the bidding for Iamaleava's services. Tulane and UCLA have also been mentioned as potential landing spots for the former five-star. In NFL news, the Miami Dolphins and quarterback Jalen Ramsey are mutually set to explore trade options for the 2025 season. According to Ian Rappaport, Ramsey is set to make over $25 million in guaranteed money this coming season. He will turn 31 in October. And the Nashville Predators fell at home to Utah Hockey Club Monday, 7-3. Only one game remains in the season. Tomorrow at home against Dallas. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So when it comes to jersey retirements, who does it at an excessive rate? Because there's one franchise in pro sports that comes to mind to me that is pretty gratuitous about this. Did you know, Lucas, that the Miami Heat have a Michael Jordan jersey retired in their rafters at, what is it, the Kaseya Center, I think is what it's called now? At this point in time, I believe they also have several other NBA dignitaries retired in their rafters.
Never heard of that concept.
Yeah, I haven't either, but it is a franchise that has been known to do it gratuitously. And then there is Deion Sanders at Colorado, who's not running a franchise, though he might be, depending on how you view the Colorado football program. And he's just recently been rewarded for his success there at Colorado with one of the more lucrative contracts in coaching at this point in time. And yesterday the news came out that he was going to retire the number 2 for Shedeur Sanders, his son, who will be heading to the NFL draft, and the number 12 for Travis Hunter, who will also be heading to the NFL draft. It is an interesting thing. I wonder if Colorado, if Deion Sanders were to ever leave, might think about unretiring those two numbers, because while it is impressive what Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders were able to do in their time at Colorado, turning it around from a one-win football program to, in their second year, 4 wins, to in their in their first year, 4 wins, in their second year, 9 wins, and bowl eligibility. It is impressive, and they deserve credit for that. I'm not really in favor of the jersey retirement here for these particular players, but I understand that maybe I'm missing something here. It is funny, though, that Deion is just, I mean, understandably so, for the amount of money that he's raised for the Colorado football program. They're just going to let him do what he wants, huh?
Seems like it. That's always been the case since he got there. I have no issue with Travis Hunter's number getting retired at Colorado. I mean, it's pretty soon. This doesn't happen, like literally right after the season ends.
Before they get drafted into the NFL?
Yeah. But personally, I don't care what you do in the NFL. That has nothing to do with your college career.
Okay.
If you're a legend for that particular program, it does not matter what you do at the next level. That can certainly add to your legend, but Travis Hunter did something we've never seen before in the history of college football and may never see again. So I have no issue with Travis Hunter. I mean, he's a Heisman winner. No problem with his jersey being retired. Shedeur, come on. Come on.
Well, I listened to Joe Klatt on Kay Adams' show the other day, former Colorado quarterback who would have, and he wasn't specifically talking about the jersey retirements. I think this was before that news came out. But he talked about that nothing that they did at Colorado was possible without Shedeur first and foremost, even giving him, I mean, I don't know, Bert, you're the one who gave me that clip to use last night on primetime. Would you not argue that Joel Klatt was giving Shedeur Sanders more credit than Travis Hunter was for revitalizing the Colorado program?
In fact, he almost said that word for word. He said the reason they went from being a one-win program before he got there to taking them to being a ranked team, to being a polarizing option. It was not Travis Hunter. He said it was not Coach Prime, it was because of Shedeur Sanders. Those were his words.
I saw somebody, Jordan Sims on YouTube, bring this up. What do you think Shiloh thinks about all this?
Yeah, poor Shiloh.
You know what?
What about me, Dad?
I would kind of just be happy sticking around in the shadows, man. You know, the expectations are so low for you that anything you do good, you carve the turkey well on Thanksgiving. They're going to be like, hey, look at Shiloh. Way to come through, man.
I mean,
that's tough.
Okay, it is impressive. Like, Shedeur absolutely has spearheaded that turnaround, going from one of the worst programs in the country to a 9-win team in 2 years. But that's worthy of getting your jersey retired? Going from the basement to 9 wins?
Not to me, but I'm not running the Colorado football program the way that Deion Sanders is.
I mean, he went 13-11 as a starter. Like, when we're talking about jersey retirements, we're talking about the greatest players to ever come through that program.
Brandon on YouTube points out not a single person from their 1990 national championship team had their number retired.
That's the thing. Yeah, this is a national championship program. We're retiring jerseys because you won 9 games. This program has a trophy. And that's a legit national championship. That's not one of those like, oh, this local poll in, whatever small town Colorado ranked us number 1. Like, they finished as the AP number 1 team in the country. They beat Notre Dame in the bowl game that year. That was a legit national championship for Colorado. So don't denigrate the value of your own program by retiring the jersey of a quarterback that won you 9 games in a couple of years.
Because they're not denigrating anything around there. The value of that program is exponential since the Sanders family arrived.
I get it. No, and I get what he's
campus.
doing.
But I get your point.
Because I'm with the bar a little higher.
You and I are on the same page here.
Yeah.
And I'm not somebody who's overwhelmingly caught up in the idea of college sports traditions, right? Like, I'm good with what's happening in the modern day college sports because it's been professional sports basically the entire time we've been watching it. It's just now the Band-Aid has been ripped off and Pandora's box has been opened and all the different things, all the different metaphors that you want to use for the current state of the both economic climate and competitive climate around college sports right now. But I also think this is crap.
Great point by Tyler. That would be like the Vols retiring Hendon Hooker's number for helping take them out of the misery they were in to being a 10-win program. Hendon Hooker, legend. Tennessee fans will love him forever. But to say that nobody can wear the number 5 again in the history of Tennessee football be a little ridiculous. Like Peyton Manning, that's a jersey number that gets retired. But, yeah, I don't know about Shedeur Sanders.
Does this feel like something that perhaps Coach Prime leaves in the coming years? Does this feel like something they could like retroactively reverse? Like, okay, we're going to start allowing people to wear Shedeur and Travis Hunter's number now that Coach Prime's gone.
Correct. Yeah,
Again,
maybe it's just something done to placate Deion.
I have no problem with Travis Hunter being retired. Like what he did this year, I have just absolutely no issue with it. But Shedeur Sanders, come on. There's some places that go all the way to one extreme and others that go all the way to the other. Don't the Ravens don't really retire jerseys, right?
No, they've got the Ring of Honor.
Right.
So like they'll put you up in the ring around the stadium, but they're not really in the business of retiring numbers. Now,
because the Titans have both. They have the Ring of Honor, but they've retired 27 and 9 famously. They've retired 1 for Warren Moon, the going back to the Oilers. Like there are numbers that are retired that are also in the Ring of Honor.
I did have a little trivia for you guys on the way out. There are 3 players in the NBA who have had their jersey retired by a team they have never played for. Can you guys name that? You've already named one in Michael Jordan. Can you name the other 2?
Say it one more time.
There are 3 players in the NBA who have had their numbers retired by teams they never played for.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant by the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, Bill Russell, probably.
Bill Russell, his number is retired league-wide.
Wow.
No one can use it. Those are the 3 players who are...
What number? Oh,
I don't... come on, dude. You pulled that out of your butt. 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten that.
There are 3 players in sports history who have had their numbers retired league-wide, Bill Russell being one of them, Wayne Gretzky in hockey, and Jackie Robinson in the major leagues.
Yeah.
When did that happen when Bill Russell passed? Because LeBron obviously was wearing 6 in Miami.
You'd think I'm some kind of daggum historian,
Wow,
dude. I'm
you're just
literally
giving us
just
all the facts.
pulling Wikipedia up.
I would guess that was the case because LeBron did wear 6 in 23.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So LeBron's 6 is not retired by Miami because Bill Russell, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade have their numbers retired by the Heat.
Yeah, the heater way over the top with it, which is kind of weird.
I'm looking at it. It's not that long of a list. I mean, it's MJ and Bill Russell, sure, who never played for them, but Chris Bosh, D. Wade, Shaquille O'Neal. I got no problems with that. I mean, Alonzo Mourning.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody else, legends for the Miami Heat. You know the most insane non-retired jersey in sports? And I was thinking about this.
Non-retired jersey?
Yes. And I was thinking about this last year watching the Florida Gators, watching Graham Mertz wear number 15 for Florida. I'm like, how is it possible that Tim Tebow's jersey is not retired?
That Graham Mertz can make NIL money off the number 15 in a Florida Gators uniform, and Tim Tebow never will.
Anthony Richardson wore it too.
Yeah.
He was AR-15, like 2 national championships, a Heisman Trophy. It's insane.
Yeah, I'm with that. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. We will jump into some NFL headlines, yes?
We sure will.
That's next. Lake lovers, listen up. Tennessee National, a highly anticipated lakefront resort, golf, and marina communities having a spring sales event, releasing a limited number of lake lots to the public with upgrades and savings. One day only, Saturday, April 26th. A cottage package with boat slip from $379,900. You can get a subdividable wooded lot from $79,900. For the first time ever, you can get fully furnished lakefront townhomes. Private golf cart access to a new marina and resort, 10 miles of walking trails, 3.5 miles of shoreline, a brand new 26,000 square foot clubhouse, waterfront concerts overlooking a beautiful lake, pickleball, pools, on-site coffee shop, and much more. Play on the lake or simply relax at the waterfront restaurant just over 20 minutes from Knoxville, Tennessee. Financing is available, so enjoy life on the water, fresh air, boat rides, and sunshine. Celebrate the lake life and make memories. This limited property release, Saturday, April 26th. Visit TennesseeNational.com, or better yet, give us a call, 865-408-9992 to secure your private tour. Memories begin here.
It's time for NFL headlines with Lucas Panzika.
For God's sakes, that was a minute and a half.
All right, you need to. You got to screw loose.
20 seconds.
I'm not remembering
I
things
will
correctly.
time this thing.
There are rules.
You
dude.
have no concept
What
of time.
rules?
It can't be more than 20 seconds. You know my rules. I'm not bending that for anyone.
More than 20 seconds?
I have integrity.
That was at least 3 times that.
Don't believe you.
Give me the headlines.
Yeah, it's 2 versus 1.
Yeah.
The news of the day in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins
Perpetually.
and 7-time Pro Bowl cornerback Jalen Ramsey are set to mutually explore trade options for Ramsey. He is due $25.1 million in guarantees in 2025. He will be 31 years old in October. The reporting on this done by NFL Network. So both sides are looking to part ways, and we'll see what the trade market looks like for Jalen Ramsey.
Who gets traded first? Let's go around the room. Tyreek Hill or Jalen Ramsey?
Hill.
What if I said neither? I don't
think
think
they're both going to still be in Miami. I don't think there's any way Tyreek Hill is still in Miami when the season starts.
I mean, what's the market for Jalen Ramsey?
I would to answer your question first, I would say that I think that Tyreek Hill could be potentially released before if it was conduct detrimental to the league.
That's where I'm at, because I think Ramsey is somebody who might get traded, and I think Hill might get cut.
How much would the Dolphins have to take on some of his guarantees? I mean, he hasn't made a Pro Bowl since 2023. Not that that's the end-all, be-all. He hasn't been an All-Pro since 2021, and he's making $25 million in guaranteed money, top of market money.
You're talking about Ramsey, right?
Ramsey.
Yeah.
So Ramsey's money, as I understand it, they paid his $4 million roster bonus. So now the team that traded for him would be on the hook for $21 million. When I looked at his cap hit earlier today, it said that would be 16. I don't know how that would change for the acquiring team. Would he be traded for? But a steep price to pay for a dude that's going to be 31 in October. This kind of feels like a trade deadline trade to me, where a team could mitigate the cost of what you're acquiring, maybe take on 8 of that at the deadline instead of acquiring the full 16 before that.
Jalen Ramsey is, as we talk about with players who are getting shopped all the time, this is not, anything new or groundbreaking, but he is past the peak of his powers. He was once a transcendent player at the position. It's really hard to stay atop that position, and he did it better than most, I would argue. I mean, the Titans may need a corner because of what's going on with L'Jarius Sneed. I know that there's still some confusion as to whether it was him or his assistant involved in this shooting that we'll talk about in the noon hour today.
Alleged shooting.
Well, it's not alleged that there was a shooting. What's alleged is, was it him or his assistant? Yeah, no, it's the shooting is the shooting is the thing that we know to be so at this point in time. Jalen Ramsey, I'd just be so curious to see what he goes for, because he's an older, expensive corner, and that, to me, does not necessarily garner a trade market until, like Bert is saying, if there's an injury to a team that's contending in the season, kind of like what happened with Lattimore and the Commanders. And they needed secondary help anyway. And he ended up being one of the worst postseason performers, like individual postseason performers on any of the NFL teams, I would argue. Marshawn Lattimore had a terrible playoff, even though the Commanders made it to the NFC Championship game. So I think that Ramsey is traded, and I think that Hill ultimately gets cut.
Yeah. The real Mike Jones on the F&M Bank chat says, bring him home. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey.
Not for that price.
From Smyrna, played at Brentwood Academy. But, yeah, you can't be paying that kind of money for a guy who's going to be 31 midseason at that position.
The good thing that Ramsey has on his side is availability. The last 3 years only missed 7 games, and all of those happened in 2 seasons ago. Only 1 year removed from making a Pro Bowl, 9 turnovers in the form of interceptions over the last 3 years. Only 2 of those that came last year. But the Dolphins' defense wasn't necessarily a strong point, the secondary rather. So, I mean, he's available. He still has a knack for finding the ball, but it's the price tag. And the other thing is, when you pay to acquire him, you have to know that he's going to continue to want more money. The Dolphins traded for him, gave him a big contract. Patrick Surtain makes a lot of money, and he's like, nope, I got to be the top-paid cornerback. So I just wonder, if you acquire him, you pay him some more new money, you know he's going to want a new deal. How much of a headache is it worth to acquire a player like that?
A Titans fan who listens to the radio show just texted me and said, "Bring Jalen home." I mean, I understand the temptation.
Yeah, we're getting those in the chat.
But like, I would have taken Jalen Ramsey, around Rams Jalen Ramsey, not Dolphins Jalen Ramsey. It's been a far cry from the player that he used to be. Even though I love the personality, I love the player and his career. He's had an excellent career, Jalen Ramsey. He's been such a fun player to see go through all the different things that he had with the Jags, with the Rams, and now with the Dolphins. But corner, just go draft him.
Just not for that money. I mean, he's just still a really solid player. And like Robert said, actually remarkably available last year. But, not for that kind of money.
He doesn't miss time, really. Like, at any point in his career, he has not missed substantial time.
He's had a couple seasons where... but yeah, I mean, it's not been something that's plagued him. Like,
buddy, I'm talking about L'Jarius Sneed playing 5 games in here, getting $17.5 million on a 4-year contract, and now involved in a shooting incident.
Like Robert said, he missed 7 games in 2023. Apart from that 2023 season, there is not he largely played 15 or more games in pretty much every other year of his career.
My favorite Jalen Ramsey moment was the sassy Jags interview he gave.
Heard this, yeah.
He wouldn't get in your head, but you managed to get in his head, you think?
What you think? You tell me. You tell me.
You tell me.
Well, the body language, he's like bobbing his shoulders a little bit. He's like wiggling around a little bit.
You tell me.
My favorite Jalen Ramsey moment is when
LeBron. I was guessing when he told LeBron that he's always lying.
LeBron James?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
I missed this.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, we got to find the audio.
No, mine is that Titans Jags. Was it a Thursday night game where he tried to step to? I thought you were mistaking LeBron for Lawan.
No.
When Jalen Ramsey stepped to Lawan, then he flopped. Ramsey did, and Lawan looked around at the ref, started playing the tiny violin. That was hilarious.
The thing that LeBron always lies, right? There's just this thing out there that he's just constantly lying about books that he's reading or whatever.
Sure.
Or like interviews with athletes that they say like an inspirational quote. He's like, oh, that's my favorite quote. Yeah, that's my favorite one.
He's like, I watched all the Godfathers front to back. What's your favorite part? The
part where the kid's born and he became the Godfather.
So Jalen Ramsey called him out. I don't know if this was on LeBron's like HBO barbershop show where he would have other athletes and people on, and I quote from Jalen Ramsey, "They say you be capping, Bron." He called him out in front of a bunch of people.
That's pretty good.
So,
moving on.
Derek Carr is reportedly dealing with a shoulder injury that could threaten his availability for the 2025 season. This is Ian Rappaport of NFL Network reporting on Carr and his status for this coming season.
Sorry, I was looking for this Jalen Ramsey clip.
At your convenience.
I'm super convenient.
That's right. My understanding is that Derek Carr faces a murky future in New Orleans, specifically related to the 2025 season. Sources say Derek Carr is now dealing with a significant shoulder injury, believed to be a throwing shoulder injury that he has now been seeking medical opinions on. From what I understand, a decision is coming from Carr on how he is going to proceed. And yes, surgery is an option. If Derek Carr did in fact have surgery, it would likely take him off the field at the very least the start of the 2025 season. Likely more, likely would put the New Orleans Saints and new coach Kellen Moore and this entirely new staff on the field without the person who has been their starting quarterback for the last several years. We do not know as of right now the immediate future of Carr, nor is it clear how and when this injury happened, believed to have occurred at some point last season. Remember, he was dealing with a broken non-throwing hand to end his season, and that was it. It's unclear if he had the injury at that time. There's still a ton of questions, Tom, for the New Orleans Saints. What we know now is that Derek Carr needs to make a decision based on the medical opinions he will receive, and we also know that heading into the NFL draft, where the Saints pick number 9, there's now a major question about their quarterback need in the first round or certainly early.
How the hell does this go unreported for so long?
I know. It kind of just came out of nowhere. Oh, Derek Carr casually could miss the entirety of the 2025 season.
We were talking about him as an option for the Titans.
Yep.
Can you imagine? Now, fair to expect that they would know something to the effect like that people in the league would know something about Derek Carr's situation before it becomes public.
It makes sense now that Derek Carr hadn't really been brought up once this offseason, the way even Kirk Cousins was, despite the fact that he's also unavailable and under contract in Atlanta. Different situation. Kirk is the backup right now to Penix. Carr, this moment is the starter if healthy, but clearly he's not healthy. He's 34 years old. He'll be 30, or he just turned 34 a couple of weeks ago. And it just made the number 9 overall pick a lot more interesting for the New Orleans Saints, who already could have been looking at a quarterback there if Carr was 100%.
Dart or Shador at 9?
Ooh.
I'm going to say Dart.
Man, I truly have no idea. Milrow. I don't know.
No, I mean,
I
right?
don't know.
But that's what it is. Like, that's what the conversation has become around this quarterback, Tyler Shuck, right? Like, it's crazy. I'm gonna say if Dart and Shador are there and New Orleans is picking, it's just not even an educated guess. It's an uneducated guess. But I think Dart's got a chance to go in the top 10.
So, and we could put it to a poll. With this news of Derek Carr, how surprised will we be if the New Orleans Saints don't take a quarterback with the number 9 pick? Could the New Orleans Saints be in a position to try to trade up for a quarterback from number 9?
Oh, God, please don't bring this back. You're not talking about for one.
No.
Okay. Because that's...
I'm not talking about for one.
Okay. I mean, they could be. How are you going to phrase the poll? At Buck Rising is where you can vote on the poll.
I'm not going to do it. I love getting these tweets in the middle of the show. Ethan Henley interjects on Twitter and says he had his first Hattie B's experience this weekend, tagging us, and says, I was very impressed. The mac and cheese was fire emoji, fire emoji.
Lovely. We're very happy for you, Ethan. Welcome to the club.
Pimento mac and cheese.
Well, should we go to Hattie B's for lunch? We've got some free time now because we've had to postpone our zoo trip to tomorrow.
Oh, and I'm hungry. Boy, I'm hungry.
Could go for some Hattie B's. The New York Giants plan to privately work out quarterback Shador Sanders on Thursday. They will take their final look at Sanders this week. And we are right there, 99% done with all of the touch points, as Mike Borgonzi calls them, the meetings, the workouts, the evaluations, the hay is in the barn, as Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio likes to say. Just one final step for the Giants to have a private workout with Shador Thursday.
Smokescreen.
Smokescreen. Oh, where'd they go? I don't see them.
It's a smokescreen. If they take Shador Sanders over who would theoretically be available there, Abdul Carter, they could use Will Campbell. That Alabama tackle that they drafted, was it Evan Neal? He's terrible. He is one of the worst offensive linemen I've ever watched in my life. So theoretically, the Giants could go tackle at 3 or a different position. But I would be stunned if with the 3rd pick in the draft, the New York Giants took Shador after making the moves at quarterback that they have. And we have talked about the Giants seeming like they're willing to throw every available resource at their quarterback room with Russ, with Jameis. DeVito is still there, though that's not really a factor, I suppose, other than to sell tickets to the Italian contingent that just loves to see him out there and do the little hand signal.
He's a vibes guy. I mean, he's a vibes guy. Is DeVito the most...
Mason Kinsey. Vibes guys.
Sure, but I don't know that there's more of a vibes guy in the NFL than Tommy DeVito. Like, you keep him there for the vibes. Like, he has rescued ticket sales at times.
Exclusively there
when
for
the team
marketing.
is terrible. Yes. Like, there is not a more marketing vibes guy that will not help you win any games whatsoever than Tommy DeVito in New York.
By the way, this is an aside, and I just happen to remember this because you brought up Hattie B's. Hot chicken has officially been named one of the state's official foods.
Oh.
I saw our buddies Nick Bishop Sr. and Jr. were at the Tennessee legislature yesterday.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Declaring that yes, they're much more important people than we are.
Mm-hmm.
But to sign a bill or something into whatever they need to sign to make that official, that hot chicken is now one of the state's official foods. So I don't know if they're going to slap that up. Have you seen the state library in Germantown where they have like the official tree and the official bird?
Yes.
So I don't know if they're just going to slap a Hattie B's logo up there on the state library. We can stake our claim now, boys. We'll do a live show from the Tennessee State Library if they put a Hattie B's logo on it.
When's the last time y'all have been to a library?
Oh, it's been a long time.
Saturday.
I don't know.
Would you do it Saturday? Would you use the bathroom?
No, I'll go to there's a library right by me where I'll go to because
I was perusing an encyclopedia.
No, I mean, I get more work done at the library than I do at home because I've just got so much time to kill at home, and then I'll screw around and do something, that's not work related, so I'll go to library work.
And he's like, oh, yeah, most of the coloring books are already done there. I don't even have to work on them.
That's like a coffee shop for me. Like, just go to is there
I'm surprised
stimulus.
that you're going to a place where you are charged money for being able to sit there, and I'm going to the free place.
That's why I love libraries. Literally, you can go in there and hang out all day, and they do not care at all. Like, as long as you look like you're busy, you can use the computers, read.
No, I have a library card. I am financially invested in the success of the state's libraries, even though people in the state are actively working against them.
Bert, you're telling me you never been kicked out of a library?
I didn't say that.
Like a school library for sure.
I don't know. What's the statute of limitations on cherry bombs?
Was your inside voice not inside enough?
Cherry bombs.
Not for the ECU library. It was not.
Like the firecrackers?
Listen, I'm not at any position to discuss.
At liberty to say?
Listen, all I'm going to tell you is...
I keep trying to listen. You keep getting words wrong.
The ECU library is not a fan of me because of my studying habits. Let's just say that.
There's no way that he didn't look up some pornographic images.
No, come on. Yeah, you always make me out to be some big perverts here. Come on, man. That ain't me. I'm just your every run-of-the-mill...
Right, and every run-of-the-mill,
shotgun
college
a beer
age.
in the library guy.
Yeah, okay.
You ever been to the math cave and need to write a paper? Crank a beer out.
My library, my school library at Indiana didn't have windows.
Oh.
You felt like you were just stuck in the void. It was
learning dungeon.
Yeah, very disconcerting. I mean, it's a giant building, the Wells Library.
Without any windows.
Without any windows.
Oh, see, I would love going to Hodges in Knoxville and just park myself in one of those cubicles, great views of campus. Yeah, I did. That is the last time I went to a library.
You put a cherry bomb in a toilet, didn't you?
That's one of my favorite cigarettes, or library cigarettes. You're writing a paper, have to go outside, smoke a little cig, come back in, crank your paper out. Those are my favorites.
Is that the only thing you were cranking?
Okay.
We still got 2 minutes. Now I have to sit here.
Give me another headline. You're the one who wanted to talk about libraries.
17 players will be in attendance at the first round of the NFL draft in Green Bay.
Including Jalen Milroe.
It's correct. It's up from 13 players that were there last year. 3 quarterbacks, Milroe, like you mentioned, Jackson Dart, and, of course, Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders does not plan to be in attendance. It's interesting. We had the same reaction to Jalen Milroe being invited, and we initially played the audio from Andy Staples about, no, the NFL doesn't want that. They don't want a quarterback being looked at constantly on camera because he's slipping and his name's not being called. We both disagreed with that. We said, well, they want the show. They want the soap opera. But then Todd McShay came on here and echoed that, too. Were you surprised that Todd McShay came on and said, no, the NFL does not want that look of players being stuck there in the green room, not hearing their name called? I was surprised by that.
I was. I honestly was, because... and I'm sure McShay talks to people at different levels of the NFL. My view of the NFL draft proceedings is there is somebody in the league office. It doesn't have to be like the NFL's view at large, right? Because I think McShay is speaking from a league perspective. I have to imagine that somebody involved with the television contracts and the television broadcast of the NFL draft are kind of okay with players sliding in the draft for the drama. But that doesn't mean that that's the league's view on it. Of course they don't want that. So I was surprised that McShay came out that staunchly and said it, because I have some skepticism about that. But, Todd McShay is a much smarter and much more well-connected individual than I am. You didn't need me to say that to know that, but that's what it is. 17 players in attendance for the draft, including Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So Jimmy's probably going to be at the draft this year, which I'm sure that he was not planning for. Jimmy Wyatt, who is always on the scene, typically does go to the draft just on the odd chance that the Titans will take one of these players.
Yeah, he was there talking to J.C. Latham last year.
Was he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jimmy had a one-on-one with J.C. on draft night.
I don't think so.
IT's on it.
I will text Wyatt, because he's talked about the risk reward of, well, what if they take a player and he's not there or something like that?
No,
maybe. I don't remember.
I seem to remember.
Maybe it was the Skoronski draft that he didn't do.
Yeah, I seem to remember Jimmy getting an immediate one-on-one with JC right after they called his name.
Either way, Cam Ward knows that he's going to go number 1 overall, probably at this point in time. Fair to expect that he is going to be in attendance, that he will be well-dressed, and that Jimmy Wyatt will have an exclusive with him on a golf cart, likely, as he's being shipped to his Zoom meetings with us after the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah?
What, did you want something from me there?
Are you done? Are those the headlines?
Those are the headlines.
Okay, very good. That's all you had to say.
The Bears signed quarterback Kyler Gordon to a 3-year, $40 million
Segment
extension.
is longer than the damn open.
Just so you know.
Who?
Kyler Gordon. You ever heard of him?
I have.
The
He's the
25-year-old.
league's highest nickel-paid cornerback.
That's right.
Yeah.
$31 million guaranteed.
Okay. I thought you said Kyler Murray for a second. Anyway. 615-737-1045. I just got some very exciting install news.
I'm allowed to go?
No. Because last year you strapped a chef's hat under the general manager's.
You all loved it. Every one of y'all used that picture.
Strapped
y'all loved
to
it.
his chair, and then he got fired.
That has nothing to do with me.
You've turned my event into a thing that people are scared to come to. Titans dignitaries are scared to come to because they're afraid they're going to get fired afterwards for a viral moment that we set them up for.
Well, listen here. The place I bought that chef hat, Party City, also shut down. So I think Party City was doomed.
So it's
not
your
Rand
problem.
Carthon.
You're the problem.
No, well, wait till you see what I strap under this guy's chair.
This guy?
Or this gal.
Don't.
Okay, I'll break the news right now.
Stop.
But come to the install where you can see Amy Adams Struck break down.
No, don't do that.
Do not do that. I'm gonna get a phone call now. Do not ruin this.
You're the one insinuating she's not a great evaluator. I think she would be fantastic.
I am not at liberty to say right now, but we will tell you Thursday. We have a grand announcement about a special guest that is going to be in attendance for the install and helping us break down the Titans draft class, which will likely include number 1 overall quarterback Cam Ward. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Go get your damn tickets. Because when we announce this on Thursday, I'm even going to bring Cosell on the radio show live to announce it with me, and then we will go from there. But go get your tickets right now at 1045thezone.com, because by Thursday, they're going to be gone. Like, I got a few left for you. We're going to pitch a third sellout. Nobody's worried about this at all. We're talking quarterbacks, not for 3 hours, but pretty close. When we tell you who our special guest is, there's not going to be any tickets left available, and I don't want to hear any calls. I don't want to see any tweets, nothing, because we've been telling you for months. 615-737-1045 is the number. Damn it, Bert, now people think the owner's coming to the install. It's like Lucas when he lowballs us on things.
Can't wait.
Why would you do that?
It's
Can't
not
wait to see.
her.
What am I going to put on
I
his
haven't
Amy's
seen
chair?
her in
It's
person
not
in like
her.
5 years.
It's Peyton.
I hate you both. Go to break. Welcome back to the show. We got people buying up tickets in the chat. I'm going to tell you who the special guest is on Thursday. We'll even bring Cosell in to help make the announcement with us. We're fired up for the install live. Weren't you going to start doing lives during the radio show? What happened to that? You just forgot this week? You done with that?
Doing what?
The liners or whatever they're called.
You're just making
You don't
stuff
have anything
up.
to read over there?
Yeah, you're making stuff up.
Nothing at all. All right, very good.
I will say without hyperbole, like Buck always like, go get your tickets. They're going to sell out. Once this is announced, it's going to sell out.
Yeah, it's over.
Like, it's one thing for Buck to say it. I'm just going to tell y'all, if you want to go or you've been thinking about going, just go ahead and go. And if you can't figure out selling your tickets afterwards.
Or if you can't go, you can do what other people have done so far this year, which is offer to donate tickets for us to do giveaways. We had, Nate Samuels DM me? He bought 5 tickets for us to give away. We've already given them away, so we're not doing that here today. But I'm telling you right now, go to 1045thezone.com, get your install tickets, 3 hours with me, Cosell, and a special guest that I'll tell you about on Thursday.
Me. It's me.
You're going to be in like Punta Cana or something like that.
I can't wait.
Which is it's going to be it's normally a thing that Lucas would attend because there's normally free food and free booze for him. So,
I am disappointed to be missing it. It was awesome last year.
Yeah, we put on a good show. Greg does a really great job with all this, and it's the hardest thing for me to do of the year because I have to get out of the way and let smart people talk, and you know how much I hate that. But if you like NFL films, breakdowns of all things Titans, no other market in the NFL does this. We had people from the Bills, like the actual team with the Bills last year, tweeting us, quote, tweeting the event, because they also pay Cosell to do stuff in Buffalo on a weekly basis, saying, wouldn't it be cool to be able to do that with Brandon Beane? Sucks for them. They don't get to do it. We do. So show up on Friday, May the 2nd, in the Analog Room at the Hutton Hotel, and we will have a great time with you, and we'll tell you more about the special guest on Thursday. All right. Luther Burden keeps falling out of the first round of mock drafts. Now, I was at the Combine this year, and Lucas, it would have sent you screaming. And I think I told you about this the day that we did the show when the wide receiver spoke. That was the first question that was asked of Luther Burden, the Missouri wide receiver. He was asked, hey, you're falling out of a lot of the first round and a lot of the mock drafts. What do you think about that? And he just looked at the reporter, quote unquote, said, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to go to the league, man. Like, what the hell is the player supposed to say? But he was thought of as wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2, basically for the entirety of the college football season between him and Tet McMillan of Arizona. And now there is a very real world in which Luther Burden may be available in the second round. What am I missing on Luther Burden? Because I know he did not have the kind of year that he expected to build on what was a very nice 2023 season for him at Mizzou. But every time I watch that guy, all he does is move the chains. And maybe if he's just, I don't know if he's just a third down guy or just somebody, not necessarily an explosive type of player that's going to be a difference maker for you to spend a first round pick on. I don't know. But I am so confused what the league is seeing in Luther Burden. If there's attitude stuff or personality stuff that I'm not privy to at this point in time, I am utterly perplexed as to how this player could be even available in the second round, given the weakness of the wide receiver class this year.
Yeah, Luther Burden coming out, 5-star, blue chip, number 1 receiver, stays home. He's from St. Louis, stays home to go to Missouri to play for the Tigers, flashes his freshman year, and then explodes his sophomore year. 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns.
He was awesome.
There was a big step back in 2024, and quarterback play wasn't as consistent. Brady Cook battled a lot of injury for Missouri last year, but I'm not sure what the main concern is around Luther Burden.
I am having, the more that I hear about this stuff, it almost feels like maybe it's not the exact same thing, so it's not a total parallel, but it almost feels like the James Pierce thing, where people keep saying, oh, well, he's got some stuff. Okay, well, what's the stuff?
Yeah. Well, if he's got some stuff, he probably has some stuff, right? I mean, James Pierce Jr. has had one minor off-field incident. James Pierce Jr., there have been questions about whether it's leadership, character, sometimes it feels weird to say these things into a mic because it just feels shady.
That's
You don't
what I'm
know
saying.
what's true and what's not.
Is it real, Lucas, or is it somebody trying to drag his draft stock down because he's a really talented player and they want him? Like, that's what I'm trying to suss out between James Pierce and Luther Burden and stories like that, like this, that come out every year around players. What you got, Bert?
Okay, so this is what the rumors are. Not like we agree with this. This is just
Okay.
flatly.
We have a sound to indicate when we are recklessly speculating, no? No.
No, that's...
No.
No. Okay, there we go. We are abolished of any wrongdoing.
That is reckless speculation.
Okay, so Bob McGinn, who is a longtime draft evaluator, put out there these 3 notes. One, that Missouri coddled him, and he was a terrible practice player. He did not try at practice. They just kept him around and showed very little leadership within the program. That was one.
Okay. 2
is that his girlfriend manages him, so teams would maybe not like the instance that his girlfriend is managing him.
That could be a very... That would be a very viable concern for teams who are having a hard time just wrapping their heads around the Shedeur Sanders thing, much less Luther Burden being managed by his girlfriend.
The other issue was that his mother is a headache, was the quote.
Okay.
So
is Jaden Daniels.
Sure,
though.
I agree with you. By the way, did you see Jaden Daniels at Brandon Ayuk's wedding this weekend?
It's my dumbest thing in sports. Don't spoil it.
Okay, sorry, I can't take it from you.
Mel Kiper and Phil Yates, their latest mock draft on ESPN, has Luther Burden going the pick after the Titans in the second round, 36 overall to Jacksonville. And they have the Titans taking Jaden Higgins, the Iowa State receiver, at 35, right before the Jags take Luther Burden. Yates picked Higgins to the Titans, and then Kiper picked Burden to the Jags. They're doing they're alternating picks in this mock draft. And they have Tet McMillan as Matthew Golden as the first receiver off the board at 12 to the Dallas Cowboys. They don't have a receiver going until Emeka Egbuka at 22,
who would be
to the Chargers.
Who has climbed into the first round now, it would seem.
Then they have Tet McMillan at 25 to Houston.
All right, so Mike Jones on YouTube, and perhaps one of you can verify.
Who?
Mike Jones. The way that he ran to the microphone to make that joke.
It has to happen every time.
So Mike Jones on YouTube is saying that Luther Burden is plus 300 go in the first round on FanDuel. Would you bet that?
Plus 300 for Burden to go in the first round.
In the first round. I would be very tempted.
Yeah, because again, if that run starts, he's a part of that run, right? Like if there is a run on receivers,
yes,
and suddenly Matthew Golden and Tet McMillan are gone by pick 15, let's say.
It's like the Corey Davis draft in 17. Like they didn't want to take Corey Davis at 5, but they knew he was the best receiver out of the group that they had. Who was it? Mike Williams later to the Chargers. Who was the third one? John Ross? Was that who the Bengals drafted?
Yeah, the 40. He set the 40 record.
Flamed out so fast in the NFL. It was a bad wide receiver draft, but the Titans could not move out of 5. They tried. They took Corey Davis. It started the wide receiver run, and they wouldn't have gotten Corey Davis at wherever Adoree went, 17 or 16, I think, at that point in time. Maybe 18. I can't remember exactly where Adoree was drafted. Still playing, by the way, to his credit. Also, speaking of the Giants, because Adoree Jackson is on the Giants, they are having a private workout with Jalen Milroe, too. Smokescreen. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in. The Titans have an issue at cornerback with L'Jarius Sneed, and it's not the one that we spent all of last year talking about. We'll tell you the details on this legal incident that has arisen for the Titans' alleged top cornerback coming up next. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is such a valuable resource for guys who are experiencing performance issues. They are there to help you with any common frustrations that you might be having, because a lot of guys feel tired, sluggish, and not like themselves, and you assume that it's just a part of aging. And it is to an extent, but that doesn't mean that it has to be that way. You don't have to deal with low energy and performance issues that aren't inevitable. Solutions exist, and they exist at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. The difference for them is there's no guesswork and no gimmicks, just real science and effective treatments. So don't trust your health to an online pharmacy. Make sure you get a personalized treatment plan from the multiple urologists and providers at the Tennessee Men's Clinic who tailor solutions specifically to your body and your goals. Act now. You've only got one life, and procrastination can make this problem worse. Call 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or visit them online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com today.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
Murfreesboro golfers, it's time to say goodbye to pain and hello to a better game with Burrow Chiropractic's revolutionary STEM Wave Therapy. STEM Wave Therapy is a non-invasive, cutting-edge treatment designed to help golfers get back on the course pain-free. This advanced therapy uses sound waves to target and repair damaged tissues, providing natural, long-lasting relief. At Burrow Chiropractic, their expert team is dedicated to offering personalized care that caters to each individual's unique needs. STEM Wave Therapy is perfect for treating chronic pain, inflammation, and even old injuries, allowing golfers to swing with confidence and ease. Plus, Burrow Chiropractic is proud to be the official chiropractic provider for Middle Tennessee football, ensuring their athletes stay in peak condition. Golfers can experience the benefits of STEM Wave Therapy by visiting Burrow Chiropractic today. Call them at 615-410-7643. That's 615-410-7643, or online at burrowchirotn.com.
It is 12:02. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. In the aftermath of the divorce between Tennessee and quarterback Nico Iamaleava, On3 Sports is reporting that North Carolina is out of the bidding for Iamaleava's services. And Pete Nakos of On3 Sports has the latest report on it, saying multiple schools are waiting to see if Iamaleava's NIL demands will drop in the coming days, and that multiple programs are ready to become contenders if he is open to a deal closer to $1 million. Iamaleava was set to make $2.4 million in 2025 with the Vols. In NFL news, Jalen Ramsey and the Miami Dolphins are mutually set to explore trade options for the 2025 season. According to Ian Rappaport, Ramsey is set to make over $25 million in guaranteed money. And the NBA playoffs begin tonight with the play-in games. It starts at 6:30, Hawks against the Magic, and then at 9 p.m., the Memphis Grizzlies against the Golden State Warriors. In local basketball news, Lipscomb is hiring Kevin Carroll, who was the head coach at Trevecca for the last 2 years. He was previously an assistant under Lenny Acuff at Lipscomb. Prior to that, he will replace his former boss, Acuff, who is now the head coach at Samford. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
So we're about 13 months removed from the Tennessee Titans trading for L'Jarius Sneed with the Kansas City Chiefs. How we feel about that trade these 13 months later, where L'Jarius Sneed has participated in 5 games as a Tennessee Titan, experienced an injury when the team came back from their bye, in their first game back from the bye. He sustained a quad bruise in the Colts game. That was the last time that we would see him on the field at any point in the season, week 6, because the quad bruise then became a quad strain that required a surgical procedure. A bone marrow injection, which, again, not any kind of medical expertise, but it's the first time I've heard anything like that, resolving a strain in your quadricep with a bone marrow injection. That was unique to me, but that's what he said happened. And he said, when he reemerged in the locker room, I think it was the week before the regular season ended, was the first time L'Jarius Sneed made a reappearance to speak with media. He said that it took the doctors about 6 weeks to figure out exactly what was going on. And that has nothing to do with his degenerative knee condition, that they imported a maintenance plan from Kansas City to make sure that the player could be available. And it was working until he was no longer available with an entirely different injury. And then there's this reporting 3 days ago from Teresa Walker of the Associated Press. The headline, Texas man suing Titans cornerback L'Jarius Sneed over December shooting at a car lot. Okay. Shall I read directly from Teresa's article? A Texas man who says Titans cornerback L'Jarius Sneed or his personal assistant, that's an important detail in here, so L'Jarius Sneed or his personal assistant shot at him while he was sitting inside a Mercedes-Benz on a dealer lot in December, is suing the 2-time Super Bowl champion for at least $1 million. The individual who is suing Sneed...
No, say his name.
Christian Nishimiana? I don't think that was terribly bad.
You nailed it, actually.
I would guess, I bet the N is silent. I bet it's...
Which one?
The first one, at the very front of the name. I bet it's...
Shimmy-mana?
Shimmy-Yamana. That's my guess.
Okay, either way.
Christian Shimmy-Yamana?
Not important.
Wait till I edit this with ODB's shimmy, shimmy, ya, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yay, with y'all saying that.
You have too much free time if that's what you're doing back there. So this man, Christian, is suing L'Jarius Sneed for he or his personal assistant shooting at him while Christian was sitting in a car. Sitting inside the Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon on December 6th in Carrollton, Texas. Neither he nor anyone else was hit by bullets fired from a Lamborghini Urus driving past One Legacy Motors. Much of what happened is redacted. This is, again, another interesting part. Much of what happened is redacted in the police report obtained by the Associated Press. So before I read on, what the degree of Like, why they would choose to redact the details in the police report that was obtained by the Associated Press is curious here, because it leaves a lot of room for interpretation, which is not great in a legal proceeding. Attorney Levi McCatherine said in a statement Friday that Snead and his accomplice were arrested by the Carrollton Police Department for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after the shooting, but have yet to answer for it. McCatherine also accused Snead and a woman who identified herself as Snead's mother, of calling and threatening Christian afterwards, wanting him to not cooperate with police or retain an attorney. Quote, the proof is there, McCatherine said. McCatherine is the lawyer. There is video surveillance from the dealership showing the car and the person who opened fire on Christian. We want to know why this happened. We're thankful no one was shot, but we continue to search for the reason behind this incident. Agents for Snead did not immediately respond to the AP's emails and messages Friday afternoon. A Titans spokesperson, bad time to fire your head of PR, I might add. A Titans spokesperson said the team is aware of the matter and have been in contact with NFL security per league protocol. Christian filed a civil lawsuit February 20th in Dallas County, Texas, suing Snead and a defendant listed as John Doe for, quote, an unprovoked attack in cold blood and broad daylight. Christian, 23, owns an exotic car rental business and was researching vehicles for his company. The lawsuit includes a still photo from the surveillance video showing an arm reaching out of a sport utility vehicle on the street with what the lawsuit describes as a pistol, which in the printout of the video is circled in red for the legal reference. And I'm going to read the rest of this through just so I can get to the final line, because the final line, it's not a funny story, but the end of this story is hilarious. According to the lawsuit, Christian remembers seeing Snead and his assistant at the car dealership, but didn't recognize Snead from his NFL career or television. Christian also does not recall ever meeting Snead before that day. The lawsuit notes the defendants may have mistaken Christian for someone else.
That's not what the story says.
That's what I'm reading from the Associated Press.
No, it says the lawsuit notes the defendants may have mistaken
for someone else.
Yeah, but they didn't say Christian.
Oh, shut up.
They said his last name.
That's not funny.
Say it.
Shimiyamana. You've just bogged that down unnecessarily. Quote, regardless, the unprovoked aggravated assault of my client with a deadly weapon is part of a pattern of behavior for Mr. Snead. It's a pattern that I'm just learning about. How about you? And he must be held responsible for his actions so they do not happen again. The Titans traded for Snead last March, made him one of the NFL's highest paid corners with a new contract. Snead played the first 5 games before quad injury, landed him on IR. Blah, blah, blah. He was drafted in 2020 by Kansas City. And this is the final line. McCatherine said they got no response when they previously reached out to the Titans. Quote, it is clear that the Titans manage their players off the field just as they do on the field. No wonder they were the worst team in the NFL last year.
Woof.
It's just such an unnecessary, we're talking about a story with stray bullets, right? That's such an unnecessary stray.
I was going to say a drive-by. Woof, man.
Yeah.
It's wild that this happened in December and we're just now seeing this.
Again, when you fire your head of PR that's been doing it for 28 years, who's really, really good at his job, a lot of these things don't see the light of day. But now it's out. And again, the report is redacted. So I don't even know if there's enough information based on what we know for a suspension to come down if I'm the Titans.
Would that be something that the NFL would take over and they would be privy to the redacted information and then a suspension would have to be handed down from the league?
No, because I don't think that the NFL supersedes the legal process, right?
No,
they're not going to unredact the report just for the NFL to conduct an investigation. I wouldn't think. I don't know that. We need to call Lust. Call the lawyer. There's a lot of things here that I have questions about. But all right, so he's played 5 games. He wasn't very good when he played. He got hurt, and now he's got this. This is the first pain in the ass moment that he's had. But like, this dude has been such a bust. Brian Callahan respects him mightily. Thinks he's one of the best corners in the league. There is evidence to believe that L'Jarius Snead, when he was with the Kansas City Chiefs and Steve Spagnuolo in that defense, was, if not the best corner in the league, one of them. One of maybe 3. I don't care what he did for the Chiefs. everything that's come with the L'Jarius Sneed experience for the Tennessee Titans has been awful. And while I do not fault the player for getting injured, because this is while he's on injured reserve.
Yeah, in December.
Yeah.
I mean,
they put him on IR in November after there was about, I think, a 6-week span between the time of the actual injury and the time that they placed him on IR.
I mean, it's a good 2 months after he played any football for the Titans.
So, what are we doing here? Why would you ever put yourself in that situation? Why would you ever be? Again, it is alleged. It is alleged at this point in time, but there is an ongoing lawsuit, and they have reason to believe that both Sneed and allegedly Sneed's mother called to bully this witness or this victim out of reporting the situation to police. Now, it's worth noting that this person also did not file this thing until February 20th, which is why we're still in April, so it's still 2 months after the lawsuit was filed.
But Sneed and his associate were arrested by the local police department for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Yes.
So how that didn't come out on public record makes no sense to me.
I mean, the only reason that I remember when Isaiah Wilson got the first DUI, the only reason that anybody found out about that was because somebody DM'd me letting me know that he'd been booked into the drunk tank. So, unless you get a tip like that, a lot of these things can just go.
Do we definitively know if it was even his mother? Because in the report, doesn't it say a woman who identified herself as L'Jarius Sneed's mom?
Yeah, that's an allegation.
So we also don't know if it was really his mom in the car.
No, these are
not in the car, but they're saying that's the person that called.
Yes,
the person who is suing Sneed.
Sneed or the assistant is who is being alleged as the shooter in the car. Sneed and his mother are being alleged to have harassed the victim after the fact to try and keep them from going to police. Again, alleged. He may be cleared of this entire situation. The fact that he's even remotely caught up in the middle of this situation is not the kind of headlines that you want to be dealing with when you're an unproductive player on a huge contract for a team that traded for you to be one of their foundational pieces. It's a huge disappointment. I don't know what value has L'Jarius Sneed brought to the Tennessee Titans franchise since arriving here 13 months ago.
Yeah, so far, none. I mean, so far, there's nothing that you can put up next to that contract.
But you know what? Lucas, and I know it's a completely different situation, but Tyreek Hill, all right? Tyreek Hill just had another domestic violence incident. We know this player to be dangerous to women and children. We know this, right? Going back to who he was prior to being an NFL player. He has been a problem. And it only starts to become a part of the coverage around Tyreek Hill once he stops being faster than every other player in the sport because he took a dip last year. And now people are talking about him as if he's this giant problem child when he's been that the entire time. He has been dangerous his entire career. And too often in the NFL, do we brush stuff like this, problematic stuff like this, and again, it is being alleged, under the rug just because a football player is good at these things. Good at what he is supposed to do, can make a difference, runs faster, jumps higher, catches more touchdowns than anybody else. So if this ends up being an ongoing situation, it needs to be talked about every time L'Jarius Sneed is discussed, that he's got this ongoing situation, because this is scary if it ends up being true.
By the way, quick NFL news. Left tackle Tyron Smith is hanging it up. He's going to sign a one-day contract with the Cowboys and retire as a Cowboy. A 5-time All-Pro and 8-time Pro Bowler. 13 seasons in Dallas before his final season with the Jets last year.
Okay.
At the age of 34.
Phone calls next. 615-737-1045 is the number. If you would like to be involved there, you may do so, whether it's draft or L'Jarius Sneed related. Bert, how do you want to set this up? Because this is your time to shine based on the Nico Iamaleava story that we've been documenting at great length in the last couple of days.
Sometimes when you break up with somebody, you sit at home and you realize you were better together.
That's next.
Friends, if you're new to Nashville or if you've been here a long time, odds are that you've got a clean out project that the missus wanted to see done by the spring. Well, it's late April. The spring is here and it's going. The most reliable folks I know that can help you are my friends at J&J Services. For over 20 years, J&J Services have been providing dumpsters for local businesses, construction sites, home cleanouts, and demolitions. They provide commercial dumpster service for your favorite restaurants and convenience stores. They provide roll-off dumpster service for everyone, from 60-story high-rises to your neighbor's farm. J&J Services can offer trash compactors, making those large loads a little bit smaller, and they can supply you with porta potties if you're hosting a special event. For the safest, most reliable service you can get in Middle Tennessee, call them today for a free quote at 615-599-7778. JNJServices.com, where they always keep it trashy.
All right, we'll get to Bert's pitch to bring Nico back to Tennessee here in just a second, but we talk a little Titans today, very little, because there's nothing going on other than Snead allegedly shooting up a car, Snead or his assistant allegedly shooting up a car, and the draft, which is, 9 days? We're officially 9 days away from the first round of the NFL draft?
If that's what 8+1 is.
Yes. Well done by you. 615-737-1045 is the number if you would like to jump in. How about Tucker in Lebanon?
Yeah, what up, guys? Just had a quick question. So I know that if Luther Burden character is going to be there for the second round pick, we got to take him. But, what if, I feel like what we really need is an edge. So what I'm looking at is a Donovan Ezaraku character or Landon Jackson, because, I know that we can get a Kyle Williams, Dante Thornton, or Savion Jones, in that fourth round, for example, and that's not even including if we get a third round. And then is there any chance that we could get a tight end to get that pass catcher for the Titans? Thanks.
Thanks for the call. You might need a corner, to be honest.
We'll see.
You might need a corner. This comes back to, what are you drafting for? Are you drafting for need? Are you drafting for best player available? Does one player happen to satisfy both? And on the Titans, you need everything. So I don't really have a strong opinion today on April the 15th, what they do in the second round, because I don't know what that's going to look like. Like, what does the second round look like by the time we get to April 25th, 10 days from now, when day 2 of the NFL draft is on? Who's still there? Did Burden fall out of the first round? Okay, well, then that's taken into consideration. Did Ibuka fall out of the first round? Okay, well, then that's taken into consideration. Landon Jackson, the Arkansas defensive end, there's going to be so many different players that I can't answer your question without knowing who's there. That's why draft hypotheticals are not my favorite, even though I totally understand the question and I appreciate the call. They have said consistently that they are going to let their board speak to them, which is a different version of, do you remember Rand Carthon's phraseology
Roll
around
the dice,
this?
play the board.
Yeah, which he was killed for, especially when they ended up with a wide receiver in the 7th. And did they not have a third-round pick that year, too?
That was the Skoronski-Levis draft?
Yeah. No, they had Tajay. Tajay was the third-round pick.
Yeah,
that's right. They traded the future third. They traded the 2024 third in the Levis deal. So, yes, you need wide receiver. You need defensive end. I would argue that there are less options at wide receiver right now than there are options to rush the passer on your current roster. You can address both in the post-draft free agency. Me and Bert talked about this the other day. I would love to see them, at least consider the idea of Amari Cooper or Zadarius Smith.
Elijah Moore, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah,
there are guys that are still out there.
So
100%.
I don't want to be dismissive of your question. I appreciate the question, but I really struggle to entertain the draft hypotheticals if you can't tell me who's on the board at the time.
Speaking of draft hypotheticals, Dolphins GM Chris Greer says they are not currently considering trading Tyreek Hill, and no team has called to inquire. He did say that if a team offered 2 first-rounders, he would be open to listening.
Oh, yeah.
Click, hang up.
Yeah. No, I don't want to sell this $200,000 car, but if you offer me $1 million, I might take it.
Speaking of $1 million, there's some recent reporting from Pete Nakos.
There is. Speaking of $1 million, good transition by you. Pete Nakos of On3 Sports reporting that programs are waiting. Multiple schools are sitting on their hands, waiting to see if Tennessee transfer quarterback Nico Iamaleava's NIL demands drop in the coming days. He says multiple programs are ready to become contenders to land Nico if he's open to a deal closer to $1 million, which would be less than half what he was set to make at Tennessee in 2025. So as we know, Nico and his reps wanted to see his deal up to the $4 million range. Chris Lowe reported that last week. On3 had previously reported that Nico's current deal is somewhere between $2.2 and $2.5 million. Nakos reports if Iamaleava does not secure a deal in the $3 to $4 million range, which I add parenthetically does not seem likely, and if he is open to a deal closer to $1 million, multiple schools are expected to show interest. Multiple programs are ready, and he just repeats what he just said. UCLA has emerged as a school in the mix to land Nico, who obviously is from Long Beach. The Bruins, he says, have been tied to Iamaleava since the news broke of his departure, and he adds, as we knew from his reporting yesterday, that North Carolina is the favorite to land Gio Lopez, the South Alabama transfer. They are out of the mix. Tulane apparently has kicked the tires, and head coach John Summerall reportedly is open to adding Iamaleava. But as we mentioned, a local TV report out of New Orleans said there is zero chance Nico lands with Tulane. Again, that in and of itself is so telling that Tulane is even in the picture here. That tells you just how low of a figure we're talking about for Nico relative to what he was making last year.
I'm seeing a lot of Nico deserves this in the chat. I do not believe that Nico Iamaleava personally deserves this. He is dealing with the repercussions of the people who are negotiating for Nico. I do not want people to villainize Nico. I understand why it's an easier thing to do.
He's the face of it. Like, that's just what this business is.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I have to capitulate to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he is the face of this, even though his father should be. Like, the son is paying for the sins of the father here. And that makes me sad, honestly. Like, and I'm objective on this point. Like, it makes no difference to me. I mean, other than I would like for a good Tennessee Volunteers football season as opposed to a bad Tennessee football season, just for the sake of the radio show. I'm rooting for what's best for the radio show. Objectively, that sucks. Like, that sucks for him. I think so little of how the family and the people around him have handled this and put him in this situation. I hate that fans are going to turn this into, oh, Nico deserves this. He seems more bystander in this. If you want any further confirmation of that, and you are entitled to have whatever opinion you want. I'm not going to change a lot of people's minds, I'm certain, especially on this topic. But if you want any further confirmation of how awful an influence the father, what was the guy that spoke to CBS that said nothing to see
Cordell
here?
Landers, a close friend of the family.
Cordell Landers. If you want to see or hear just how poorly they handled this situation around Nico Iamaleava because he's their cash cow, go listen to that Adam Sparks interview in the first segment, where Adam is talking about how much freer and how much more at ease Nico was without his dad and this Landers individual hovering over him, influencing everything that he does. It's a sad story.
It's a sad story, and I almost hate saying this, but it's a story that is probably good for the greater good of college football and will help other families that are in similar situations like this down the road. This feels like a really good warning, sort of telltale, cautionary tale for any prospect or player who's in a similar situation, because it's all over, right? Many of these people are not qualified to be negotiating million-dollar contracts the way a lot of these uncles and dads and close family friends are for these players. A lot of them have legit agents. A lot of them don't. So it is a cautionary tale for, I mean, it sounds harsh, but play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Like, they went about this in the worst possible way, and we're seeing what's happening now. I'm with you. I have sympathy for Nico, the individual, especially after hearing Adam Sparks talk about it in that way. And it's so easy for people to say, no, he can stand up. He can stand up to his dad, say, I'm the one with the career and the reputation on the line here. But I'm not going to pretend like I know their family dynamics. It's more complicated than that.
Ramon has explained it well enough that I'm comfortable, drawing that conclusion.
Yeah. But it is to the point now where Nico's legacy, it seems like, is going to be the guy who screwed himself out of one of the biggest NIL deals for a quarterback in the country and got too greedy. Like, his legacy at Tennessee now is that. He helped the Vols to a 10-2 season and to the first ever 12-team college football playoff. He had game-winning plays in the second half of the Alabama game where Tennessee fans stormed the field. Your second win in a row over at Alabama at home in Neyland Stadium. And it's not even close to how Tennessee fans will remember him or how college football fans will remember him at this point. It would take a really dramatic turnaround for Nico in 2025 for him to be remembered as anything other than the guy that got too greedy.
Which brings about my hypothetical. I know we've all had breakups where you said something wrong. Look, I was wrong. You were wrong. We said some things we didn't mean.
Why are you looking at me?
I'm looking at everyone in that room. And just my gaze is just directed right at you.
Stop.
We've all had breakups where we said some things we didn't mean. And I wonder if there would be a position where Tennessee and Nico could kiss and make up. If Nico was able to go and apologize and say, look, I took some bad advice. A heartfelt apology will go a long way to like-minded men. If you can look people in the eyes and say, I am sorry that I took bad advice, that I abandoned you guys, that I left, but we're better together. Come back home, baby. And his dad's going to be like, Nico, you better not go out there. You better not call Josh Heupel. But Nico's on the phone like, I miss you, Coach. I want to come back to Tennessee so badly. Dad? Please let me come back. And there could be a scenario where today's price is not yesterday's price. So I don't know how the NIL evaluations work, whether it's like guaranteed money. If he backed out of his NIL, does he get to keep any of that? But say he went back to Tennessee and he goes, you know what? I'd take 2 to come back. I'd take 2 to renounce my daddy, leave my daddy.
Emancipate himself?
Leave him in California. I'll no longer be taking financial advice from him. I want to be a Tennessee volunteer. 1, can that physically happen? Is he allowed to go back to Tennessee? 2, could that happen? Would Tennessee welcome him back?
There's nothing to prevent him from going back legally, right?
No. I mean,
it's the only SEC team he could play for this year.
He could withdraw out of the portal and just remain on the roster. Absolutely, that could happen. Will it happen? No chance.
No chance.
There's
Not with this fan base.
Yeah, that bridge has been burned. He would be coming back. You're right. Fire Brinker on the F&M Bank chat says, I wouldn't dare come back to this fan base if I was Nico.
So funny casually reading that name.
But fan base aside, the football team. Go back and watch that press conference Saturday with the players. Miles Kitselman, the 2 quarterbacks, and Arion Carter after the spring game. Miles Kitselman looked like he was ready to run through a wall. He looked like he was containing his anger and just channeling it into his statements. He looked focused. He looked like he was staring right through the camera lens, right through every reporter. He looked intense. He just got this feeling that the entire team felt completely betrayed. Nico, that's a hard bridge to rebuild.
Nico gives Heupel a call, and he's like, you really want Turd Slinger as your quarterback? You really want that guy? Come on, man. Bring me back. Bring me back.
If you're Heupel and you make this statement of no one is bigger than the program, you can't. You can't go back on that and welcome the guy back.
Well, it would Nico be admitting that nobody is bigger than the program.
Right,
that would fall in line. Yeah, that's the Game of Thrones thing.
The only way that you could, that I suppose you could repair to say, oh, no, you can come back $100K, right? You are middle of the pack now.
Middle of the pack.
In what our players are, I don't know. I have no concept of what these guys are making.
Yeah.
But that's the only way. Yeah, you can come back, but for a fraction of what you were making here. Yeah, go make $1 million at UCLA or come back for $500,000 here. The place that and can have some continuity and play in the SEC. I don't know. That's the only way, but it feels impossible.
Because it feels like no matter where he goes, he would probably go to the NFL draft next year, whether he's at Tulane, Texas Tech, any of these schools that he would potentially go to. He's going to the draft anyway. So why not
it's just
come
a question of what he's going to be this year. And I mean, I would have a hard time finding him any higher than the 3rd round coming off of that season.
It's just, can you repair the relationship with the players?
Somebody said your offensive line gets your NIL deal.
Yeah. Well, I was curious when that $4 million mark came floating around. I decided to go back and see what some of the rookie quarterbacks last year were making. So what do you think Bo Nix's average annual value is in salary?
Bo Nix
on his rookie contract.
And he got a fat signing bonus for being drafted, right? At the beginning of it, you get a little bit more money. So the AAV isn't exactly a perfect encapsulation of how much money he made.
Yeah, but he's still a first-round pick, so he made a decent chunk of change. For the 12th overall pick, I bet Bo Nix, on an average annual basis, is making 7.
I'll say 3.
4.65.
Okay.
Yeah, 4.65 AAV.
Burt closer to the hole on that.
His cap hit last year was $3.3 million. That guy would have won Rookie of the Year if Jaden Daniels didn't have a historic season for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
It just kind of puts into perspective what they were asking for here. After an underwhelming 2024 season, you were asking for almost the equivalent of a Rookie of the Year candidate in the National Football League. It's insane when you go back and look at it. It's what they thought the market was, and they thought wrong.
But I don't think that they thought that wrong, the market for him. Because the quarterback market is indicating that these guys are getting close to 4. Carson Beck is making close to
4.
that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't think they misjudged the market on the whole. Because my overarching principle with this is he plays quarterback. He's more valuable than everybody else. The question is, how much is the individual valued relative to the rest of his peers, where Carson Beck has a much more established resume than Nico Iamaleava, who's coming off his first full year as a starter and was pedestrian, but got to the college football playoff, showed some things that make you excited, but not enough for you to fully cash in that way.
Well, it's clear they overestimated the way his talent would outweigh any of the other stuff in terms of how they handled it. And it seems like programs across the country really care about how they're handling it.
Well,
they put a lot of weight into that.
It's an easy position for programs around the country to take because Tennessee was the first to take that stand. Had Tennessee caved?
Yeah, but what's an easier position? To say we stand with Tennessee or to take the uber-talented 5-star quarterback that'll help me win games?
It seems to be we stand with Tennessee.
Well, I'd say it's
because they're going to wait him out and then get that player for a lot less money.
But that's
was the easier position to take.
If that was actually your value, then I promise you, the moral high ground would be left up there, and programs would say, no, give us the quarterback.
How much of it is timing, though, too? Like doing this in the one of the later portal openings. Like if he would have done this at the initial portal opening, I doubt he wouldn't have gotten 100%. This money. Yeah. A lot of this is timing to me.
It is. They botched the timing completely. You go through negotiations in the winter portal. When these moves happen, when these negotiations happen, you don't get the deal that you wanted necessarily, and then all seems okay. He's back at spring practice. It's the emotional reaction after that report comes out on Thursday of saying, no, you're not going to practice today. We're not doing anything until we get that $4 million. Tennessee says, okay, you're not getting it then. And other programs take note of that and say, we don't want to do business that way. Again, who's to say you're not going to sign a deal that you say you're happy with, and then week 1 or week 10, you say you're about to play a conference championship game, and you say, no, I'm not playing until you give me an extra $1 million. Hell, we just saw UNLV's quarterback do that last year. Remember that story?
Yeah.
Matthew Sluka, after a nice 3-game start to the season, says, no, I'm not playing until you give me more. UNLV said, no, we're good. And they were on the cusp of a playoff spot at the end of the year.
Last call for phone calls if you got them. I'm Buck Rising, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Best hot chicken in the world. Is that what we're doing?
I think it has to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're contractually obligated and also delighted.
No, the contract's got nothing to do with it. I need that pimento mac in my life today.
Hopefully we can get there a little smoother than last time.
Whose fault is that? Tweedledee and Tweedledip bleep.
I'm Tweedledee driving
You're
a
lucky
damn
I didn't
car.
say the word into the microphone.
I take responsibility.
I was fuming. Lucas's inability to use a GPS. Like, it's one thing if you can't navigate surface streets by memory or just, general self-awareness of knowing where you are. But the fact that the two of you turned the trip to Hattie B's on Charlotte, we are on Demumbrian. We are not very far. It turned into a 25-minute ordeal.
It became a pilgrimage.
I could have grabbed both of you and just choked you in the car if I wasn't so worried that we were going to get there even later than we already were.
This is a great time to announce our newest giveaway. If you can find out the Hattie B's that we're going to, and you get there when we're there, Buck will buy whatever you want from Hattie B's. Come and find us. Which Hattie B's are we going to be at? You better find us.
It's not that I don't know how to navigate.
It's that find us is how he ended that. You really petered out.
I didn't have anything else.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't have a landing.
I'm aware.
I
can't
agreed
wait
to
for
help
the bid.
navigate and then immediately forgot that I agreed to help navigate and started just looking at my phone and doing something else. And we started missing turns.
Unbelievable. So inevitably, it's going to be a 25-minute field trip again today. Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go to David in Lebanon. A lot of Lebanon calls today.
Hey, Buck, I just want to let you know I'm going to save Tennessee a lot of money.
All right.
I'll go and play quarterback for the Big T for a pair of tickets to yours and Mr. Cosell's draft party you're having there.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's that. Liam Neeson. He has not reemerged from the shadows. So, David, what is your QBR at present?
Buddy, I have not played quarterback anywhere, but I can throw a ball 60 yards.
Oh, look at that. Is Uncle Rico on the line. Which, by the way, Uncle Rico being the bad guy from White Lotus is crazy.
That dawned on me. I just finished season 2 of White Lotus.
Oh, so you don't even know what I'm talking about.
Well, I
mean,
know,
he's in that.
I know the actor is Uncle
David,
Rico. I am 2 episodes into season 3 of White Lotus. Season 2 was phenomenal. Phenomenal. I don't know how season 3 can...
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin anything. And it's worth watching. Like, it's still a good show and it's a great cast, right? But it's season 2 is the best.
Oh, season 2. So the scenery just in Sicily, just unbelievable.
Yeah. So David wants a pair of install tickets. And I told you, we got the special guest now officially confirmed. I've been teasing it for a couple of weeks now. Thursday, we're making an announcement. Don't say anything into the microphone that's going to make me want to come back into that room and beat you down.
He can lock the door.
Yeah, he doesn't, which is beyond me for as many people keep running back in there and distracting us during the radio
every
show.
day.
Like, do you guys not know that we're working? Who are these people?
It's people who work here. Yes, they know we're working. They just like to come in this studio while we're working, I guess.
Why? It smells bad in there.
It smells fine. I have it. I'm telling you, Ross might have been the issue with my gaseous assius because as soon as he left, I haven't farted once today. I've been very good back here.
Means you're stopped up, probably.
Unloaded at lunch.
Oh, God.
Join 104.5 The Zone for our 2025 Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson, Monday, June 9th at Nashville Golf and Athletic Club. Located in the heart of Cool Springs, this historic golf course features breathtaking panoramic views of the beautiful Middle Tennessee countryside. Purchase your team today. Choose between 2 flights, 8 a.m. or 1 p.m. We'll be there every show broadcasting live except Buck.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to hang out with you.
I don't want to go.
Spend the day teeing off with us. For more info or to purchase a team, visit 1045thezone.com.
It's not that I don't want to hang out with you. It's that I hate remotes.
Because
you have to hang out with us.
Well, I'm forced to hang out with you. I'm contractually obligated to hang out with the two of you every day.
Benjamin Buck in the chat says, so it's not Amy Adams Strunk as the special guest?
Damn it, Bert, play the polls before I choke you out back there. Now. I'm so fucking mad at you.
I've been thinking I need to rewatch that trilogy. It's been a while. Haven't seen Batman Begins in a long time. Very underrated. Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What in sports made you say, oh no? Cristoforo says Nick Iamaleava losing his son Nico a lot of money. Jimmy says Rory shanking his shot on 13 from 83 yards out. Was a heart-stopping day, but Rory McIlroy in the end gets his grand slam. And JD says Vice President Vance dropping the national championship trophy yesterday while honoring his alma mater.
It's J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance being the least athletic vice presidential candidate we have seen in quite some time. Does it look like he wears eyeliner? He has the same problem that Derek Carr does, I believe.
Oh, quite the allegation.
It is. It's not the worst thing that's been alleged about J.D. Vance.
Who starts at quarterback for the Vols
hates to see him coming.
In 2025? Jake Merklinger, George McIntyre, or a transfer quarterback? So never mind.
Oh, yeah?
I love when this happens to him.
55.3% say a transfer quarterback. 30.3% say Merklinger. 14.5% say McIntyre. So the majority of votes still think it is a transfer TBD that starts for the Vols. Adam Sparks said there is no slam dunk pie-in-the-sky quarterback to come in and save you right now.
God, they're going to win 5 games this year and just make us all miserable, aren't they?
I think the roster's in a little bit of a better state than we think, but the quarterback position, obviously, a lot hinges on that. Would you take Nico back? 86% say no.
Okay, again, talk to me in October. We'll see.
D. Good says if he comes back after UCLA offers him the same $2.2 million, they should offer him $1.5 million. It would be more than he would make in Cali with taxes. UW says the prodigal son returned after demanding his inheritance. Why can't Nico? Josh needs him as much as Nico needs the Vols.
Who's the prodigal son demanding his inheritance?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
The big guy, JC? Is that who we're talking about?
Who he's talking about there.
I'm confused.
The prodigal son returned after demanding his inheritance. Jacob says he'd welcome Nico back under one circumstance. We pay you about $500K, and you get the rest if you win a playoff game or you win the Heisman. You're motivated by money. Here you go.
You know what? Incentives and contracts for college football players, I'm so for it. So for it.
Biggest question would be how much do you have to repair the locker room's relationship with him at that point? Because if you're willing to dip out at that point, then how can we trust that you're not just going to dip out before week 1 when you think you've got all the cards again? I don't know.
Well, again, I think he's totally trustworthy. His dad is the one who seems to be less than honorable in his negotiation tactics.
Yeah. How do you view the L'Jarius Sneed trade 1 year later? Waste of time and draft pick, says Brandon on Twitter.
I agree.
Eric says value TBD. Still hopeful, but much more cautiously so at this point.
Yeah, I don't know about being optimistic about the current situation regarding L'Jarius Sneed. Like, is he going to be healthier moving forward?
I don't know. I mean, look,
exactly.
Again, this situation could get resolved. He could hit the field and be great for the Titans and be L'Jarius Sneed in 2025. That doesn't seem likely right now, but it's definitely not impossible.
Maybe.
John says, I wanted the trade at the time, but now clearly it wasn't the right move to make. Titans will definitely be releasing him after this season, which is their best chance to get out of the deal, he says.
Who has more wins? Ian Hearn just brought this up in the chat. The Titans or UT next year?
I would still say Tennessee.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, even if it's 7-8.
I would too.
Those are the polls.
Very good. That's the show. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I'm going to threaten you. Go get your install tickets or else, because I don't want to hear about it on Thursday when we make the announcement about our special guest. 1045thezone.com is where you go for the tickets. No prime time for me tonight. I'll see you tomorrow.